This is podcast 3. I'm Alex Bryan.
I'm Alex Vellis.
We have the same name. And we do.
Yeah,
as you can hear.
Well observed.
And this week we are talking about comic books in general and also their adaptations into like movie and TV and all that. So let's get going.
Let's start.
Let's go.
You're going to do that introduction?
Oh yeah, good point. So, you know, we thought we'd maybe begin just by being like, what qualifies us to talk about comic books? Who are we? We're just a bunch of Hollywood stars and celebrities. What do we know? Do we know things? Let's find out. So, what qualifies us, in answer to that, is we both like to read them on occasion. That's it. This is my job interview.
I spent more time reading comic books than I did studying science. So I literally know more about comic book science than I do about.
And we talked about physics last week for 20 minutes as well. So
did that go out anywhere?
I think it's on the Patreon.
I think it's on the Patreon.
I'll probably put it up today, and then you can expect this. Why am I telling this to the camera? If you're hearing this, you're already listening to it. This one you can expect a week after we film. So it's a week in the past. So if anything,
time travel. That's going to be
that's a bloody comic book
esoteric
theme.
Spot of knowledge. Temporal mechanics.
But it is. So what got you into comic books? Like, was there a time? Because I don't really remember a time when I wasn't into them.
Okay, so when I was a young boy,
so 30 years ago,
my father took me into the city.
And then what?
To see a marching band.
Okay, was it a comic book themed marching band?
No, that was actually like a My Chemical Romance.
No, I know. You know, he wrote a couple comic books as well.
Did he?
Gerard Way, yeah, he wrote. I think it's called The Umbrella Academy. I never read them. Like a sort of original.
What a
book
useless fact, then.
Oh no, but it's related to what we're talking about. I think it's a cool fact.
So it's cool. Like he
wrote stuff. Is it any good? Not a clue.
Good to know. When I was 10 years old, a friend of mine gave me a Spider-Man comic, a gold edition Spider-Man comic. So,
do you remember what story it was?
Really not suitable for a 10-year-old.
What was it?
What was it called? It was Spider-Man. It was like a gritty Spider-Man comic.
Oh yeah.
So he had he was fighting Typhoid Mary, who's she's this character that has a split personality. One of them, Mary, is really, really fine. She's like sort of quiet, really polite, really nice. The next one is sort of like a lot more sultry and a lot sexier, and the next one is a serial killer.
Okay.
And it is really, really gory and
Does
really
she have
bloody.
powers, or she's just kind of like
She's just a
serial
psycho.
killer?
She's just
And was this in main universe, or was it?
No,
Like
definitely not main universe.
So was it like Spider-Man Noir?
No, it was still modern. It was still set in the modern day, but obviously about 30 years ago. Though.
Yeah, but that got you into it.
Yeah, and that was the first comic that I ever read, and then Spider-Man became my hero. Been my hero since I was 10 years old.
I think
1,000 years ago.
in like the 1940s BC.
1840s.
Yeah, as a Victorian child, Spider-Man was really real influence to me.
Yeah, Spider-Man Noir was actually like that was the future, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like, oh bloody look, what's this? A train?
Clean your chimneys. I literally have no idea. You're the historian here, mate.
I am, but I also don't know. No, I think Spider-Man was definitely my favourite as well when I was younger.
Well, he is essentially Spider-Man is just the he's just the teenage boy going through puberty superhero.
But I think he's also one of the best heroes. One of the things I really started to appreciate as I got older was like how everyone in the Marvel universe really respects Spider-Man. Like, they're all like, Spider-Man will handle it. It's New York, and he's not super overpowered, so he still struggles, which I think makes for a more compelling story.
Do you know what you say that he's not super overpowered? He is supremely overpowered.
How so?
It doesn't come up very often. But for example, without any effort whatsoever, there was a during the Civil War saga actually. The Kingpin ended up obviously finding out who Spider-Man was. Set up a sniper so that he would. The sniper was getting past the spider sense, by the way, by going to sleep before Spider-Man showed up. So that way, there's no threat.
So there's no threat. That's
exactly.
smart. Yeah,
it's clever, isn't it?
That's good writing.
Yeah, and then I think it was a proximity sensor or something went off when someone went into the room. So that went off, and the guy wakes up immediately and then takes a shot with a pre-set up sniper rifle.
Yeah,
it's interesting that his spider sense doesn't go off just for there being a sniper rifle.
Yeah, or a proximity sensor.
Yeah. But I guess it must. I guess
the spider sense. It hasn't really clarified how it works. I think. Which is good for comic book writers, because if there were clear rules for it, it would be harder.
Then they'd have to kill him and then recreate him with a new spider sense.
Yeah, that work differently.
Yeah.
So what happens? What does Spidey do?
So
I love it. This story just ends and he got shot. And he died.
No.
Like, he blew his head off, and now he's dead.
Now he's dead. That's why they got the new one. No, that's in the Ultimate Universe, actually.
Yeah, Miles.
Yeah. What's his name? Miles Morales?
Miles Morales.
Morales, yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's really difficult to read that, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Morale.
Yeah, it
but
does
it's
look like Morale.
like Latin American name. I
Makes
forget
sense.
what his heritage is.
Anyway, so the guy wakes up, just about to take the shot. Spider Sense obviously kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Spider-Man, Mary Jane, and Aunt May in this room, in this
Yeah.
like, motel sort of thing, and he jumps out the way and like covers Mary Jane, and
Mhm.
Aunt May gets shot, and it's savage.
Does this lead up to the One More Day thing they did?
I think so, yeah.
Ah, I hate that storyline. Okay.
Yeah, but so Peter Parker runs outside and without any effort whatsoever, fucking picks up a car like I think it was a pickup truck,
Yeah.
and just threw it through the building.
Yeah. See, I like that still though, because part of the reason that story works, part of the reason that works as a threat, is because Spidey's not super overpowered. You couldn't threaten Superman with a sniper rifle because it would just bounce off him.
Well, no, because they'd just make it a kryptonite bullet. That's all that would
Yeah,
happen.
but even then, he's so fast that like he would have saved both of them, no problem. He would have caught the bullet or something. Like Spider-Man, I like that things like that can credibly threaten him. It's why he can fight. You know, it's why the Kingpin and basically a bunch of sort of not superpowered goons with guns can threaten him.
Yeah.
But it's also why, because when he needs to, he has that strength, and when he
Yeah,
gets
that's
really
it.
when he really needs to, he has to work for it. But he's very good at what he does. Because by this time, presumably, he's like older, like post university Spider-Man, like post college.
I think so.
And by that point, he's been a hero for a long time, and he knows what to do. And I like that because it's like it's easier to write stuff that threatens him. And also, when you're a kid, he's just quite relatable. Like a well written Spider-Man story is one where he's struggling as Peter Parker as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favourite things about him, is that because he's obviously so intentionally, I'm not Spider-Man, that when people like Flash Eugene Thompson, what was that about?
Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene Flash Thompson, whatever his name is. He'll come up to him and he'll just like punch him in the back of the head.
And he'll be like, ow.
That really hurts.
Yeah. But also, I think it makes sense that it's not just like a fake identity or a lie. Peter is also a bit of a loser. Like, because he can't do everything all at once, he can't be everywhere. Spider-Man gets in the way of his like work life and his personal life and his studies. And the best stories show him trying to juggle it, like, because he might be Spider-Man, but he also needs a job.
Yeah,
And he also needs to have a relationship, and it's like it's quite hard to balance all that.
I wouldn't know though. I've only got one of those things.
What? Which one?
Don't look at me like
The
that.
superpowers.
Yeah, no, I've just got a job. Which one have you got?
No.
I know.
Was that all a setup?
This whole theme that we're doing today is a setup for that one joke. I've been planning it for a week in advance.
Bollocks. This whole podcast, it's all a ruse.
Just so that it's just so I can bully you.
That's why you started recording our conversations, so that like you could replay particularly good insults.
Like that
You'd
one.
be like, oh, got him there, that's great.
Ah,
Edit it down to like
ah.
a 2-second file.
Yeah,
of
I'm
me
so
just-
lonely.
Me
Yeah.
weeping.
It's like, Anyway, so God, there's an awful lot of like self-loathing, sort of like lonely apathy in our podcast. Have you ever noticed that? Anyway, so
Let's move on.
let's just move on from that. Yeah, so but Spider-Man is literally, he's the epitome of a teenage boy. He shoots sticky white stuff out of his hands, like.
Yeah, and I think different stories do it differently. Like, different interpretations make more or less of the puberty thing, like your body's changing. And I don't think it's key to his character, but I do like that that's very clearly where it came from.
Well, actually, do you know where Spider-Man, the whole idea of Spider-Man, why it exists?
No.
So Stan Lee, who's, fact for you, Stan Lee's name before he changed it was Stanley Leibovich.
Yeah, I did know
Yeah.
that.
I was talking to the camera.
Oh. Camera doesn't know shit.
Don't laugh, camera.
Go on. So, Stanley Leibovich.
Yeah, so, Stan Lee now, so that's his actual name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Stanley Lee.
So, yeah, Stanley Lee.
Stanley Lee.
Stanley Lee. Okay, well, this is getting weird. Anyway, so, Stanley was just like, I want to create a superhero in which most people are afraid of the thing that, the superpower that it's coming from.
Yeah.
So everyone kept saying, there's no way that you're going to be able to make a spider,
Yeah.
a super a super character.
And I think also Spider-Man, like, as far as I know, my sort of comics history knowledge isn't great, but as far as I know, like, Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the sort of early Marvel properties were very different than the superhero stories we were seeing. Partly because, you know, Spider-Man does have these struggles, and it is, like, quite a disgusting, traumatic thing to have happen to him. He's been bitten by a spider and getting radiation poisoning.
That's the difference between Marvel and DC at the time. So DC were all these superheroes that were just, like, mega beings. Like, you've got your Superman, you've got your... I don't really know much about DC. You've got your Superman...
The Flash.
Yeah, the Flash.
Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter. They're all very overpowered.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, yeah.
I don't know if they all came out around the same time or whatever, but they're massively overpowered superhumans that really don't have any flaws. Right? But whereas the X-Men, they're all outcast. And they're all struggling with things that actually happen to people.
Yeah, and it's like a very clear metaphor for social exclusion.
Yeah.
Because in the original comics, it's the civil rights movement, and then in the Bryan Singer movies, in the sort of late 90s, early 90s, it was about being gay. You know, sexually. Yeah, they have that scene in X-Men too, where they're hanging out with Iceman's parents because they've had to, like, flee the mansion.
Yeah.
And he reveals he's a mutant, and his mum's like, have you just tried not being a mutant? Trying to sort of convert him.
I suppose, like, that was 17 years ago.
Yeah, probably. I think X-Men 2 would have been like 15 years ago, something like that.
So I can kind of feel forgiven for not picking up on that.
Yeah.
When I was...
I don't think I picked up on it until
14.
Like, much later.
But
How old was I 15 years ago? When I was 23 now, so...
8?
Yeah. Quick maths.
That was actually quick maths, considering
that was
dyscalculate.
Yeah, no, it was pretty solid mental arithmetic.
Anyway, so yeah, and then so X-Men were obviously they're all flawed. They're all, like, you know, as you said, coming out or part of the civil rights movement at the time.
Yeah.
So characters reflective of that. Spider-Man is a teenage boy going through puberty.
And also all the attendant social things that go with that. He's bullied at school. His family life is in disarray. He struggles to hold down a relationship.
Well, actually, the standard rule in comic books is that if you're a superhero, your family's dead.
Yeah, but then isn't there
Or you
also
have,
that
like,
rule
a
that
really crippling...
the only person that stays dead in comic books is Uncle Ben? Everyone else that dies comes back. I swear I've heard that. There used to be two. It used to be Uncle Ben and Jason Todd, who was the second Robin, and the Joker beams death with a crowbar. And at the end of that storyline, this is a bit off topic, but at the end of that storyline, DC is like an event, like, said to fans, they left it on a cliffhanger before the last issue, and they did like a poll on whether Robin should live or die. And the character was so hated that overwhelmingly fans voted to kill him.
Why was he hated?
They just didn't like him. They were like, he's not as good as the first Robin, he's a bit of a dick. So the Joker graphically murders him, but then he comes back, so the only person that stays dead is Uncle Ben.
Well, Uncle Ben's been brought back as a clone a couple of times.
Yeah, but that's not him. Like, he's still dead.
Well, we're really getting into a discussion of philosophy here. Why is it not him? If you're an identical clone...
Are you the same person? No. Well, I don't know. I don't know how he comes back.
Well, if you maintain all of the same
same memories.
I
think you're a different person from the moment you're created.
Does that mean that we're constantly, like, we lose all of ourselves every month or something like that, right? So does that mean that, using your logic, each month we're different people?
No, because there's only one of us, right? Whereas if you were to clone me now, at the moment of creation, we'd both be the same.
I wouldn't do that.
You couldn't. Let's not act like it's a choice you have. Let's not act like you're saying, like, oh, well, I could clone you, but I don't feel like it because you're a dick. Like, if you would have cloned
you're a dick.
me
Don't put
now...
words in my mouth. Don't put dicks in my mouth.
Don't put dicks in my mouth. You would have cloned...
Don't put
dicks in my mouth. Mindy Fresh to wash that out. If you would have cloned me now, right, we'd be the same at the point of creation, but instantly then we'd become two different people. But I guess the thing is, there isn't another Uncle Ben running around, so is it the same Uncle Ben? But I don't know the storylines, the clones. How they, like, deal with him.
The comic book lines are, like, pretty transient in the idea that what one writer might do, it's not. It doesn't become, like... Actually, I was about to say it doesn't become law, but I swear in the early 2000s, in the remake, when the Ultimate series started,
right,
they made the agreement that when a character dies, they stay dead.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the Ultimate series, actually, because when I
really
was...
like the Ultimate series.
When I was younger...
Well,
again, obviously, every time I say that, I feel like I have to bring up, like, yeah, it was in the past, hence me talking about it in the present. But I got into comics, like, through the sort of, like, literally just like the kids' versions you'd have. And then when I got into the Ultimate series around like 2006, I think, because they weren't weighed down with this like decades of continuity. They'd started again in 2000, and it was like running parallel, so the old continuity was still there if you wanted it.
Yeah.
But the early Ultimate stories are, you know, Mark Millar's run on Ultimate X-Men is great.
Ultimate X-Men is like...
Yeah, but my problem was that they started throwing their own rules out the window, and by the end, the Ultimate Universe became so convoluted and so, like, everything was retconned, everything was unclear, that I'm kind of glad they ended it. So I think the only Ultimate book that stayed good was Brian Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man, because he wrote it all the way to the end. Yeah, and that's excellent.
I've read every single...
I actually haven't. I've got somewhere at home, I've got all the graphic novels up to...
Issue 3.
I think up to the Carnage one.
Oh, mate,
up to 11. Up to like the Amazon Spider-Man.
All the way up to 11.
But... And then afterwards, I started. They were reissuing in the UK because it can be quite hard to find like actual, like up to date comic books in the UK.
Yeah, it's because nowhere fucking stocks them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have older ones, but so they were reissuing. This comic book would have an Ultimate Spider-Man story at the start and an Ultimate X-Men story at the back, and they were a couple months behind. So I kind of read up with them, but I never finished it. I never read the Ultimate Clone Saga or the Miles Morales stuff.
I didn't actually. I tell you what. I said I've read all of the Ultimate series. I read up to irritatingly up to the Miles Morales stuff.
Yeah.
Spoilers: Spider-Man dies. I've said that way too quick for that to be spoilers. Like Spider-Man dies. He dies. Anyway. But yeah, and then I didn't get to read the Miles stuff because
that's supposed to be really good because that's what I've heard. He's such a popular character that after they closed the Ultimate Universe, they brought Miles Morales into the main one.
Really?
So he's in 616 now.
Oh, I did not know that.
And regular Peter Parker's still alive there as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Because like Miles has like really cool powers. I read like a couple of comics.
They're slightly different, aren't they?
Yeah, he's got the poison sting thing.
Yeah, he does.
Is it a punch?
I think it like comes out of him.
Yeah, it's like is it like a stinger or is it like a punch that he has a poison?
I don't know.
And he can turn invisible.
I didn't know he could go invisible.
Yeah, he's got a camouflage.
How does he get his powers?
Almost in the exact same way. It's very, very similar. Actually, thinking about it, it's not really that similar. He gets bitten by a spider. What happens is
that sounds pretty similar.
His uncle, I think it is a career criminal.
Right.
And he breaks into a lab and steals a spider. Miles goes around to see him.
Is there much market for spiders? Actually, in the Marvel Universe, if you were a robber, you would. You'd
steal
every animal you see, you'd steal them because you'd be like, worst case, I get superpowers.
Hate it when people go past on a scooter.
Yeah,
like you're an adult.
That is such a thing now, isn't it? Grown-ass adults riding scooters in public.
And he was wearing a sheepskin coat.
I'm not here for it.
No.
Anyway,
so he goes round to his uncle's house after his mother tells him not to. Gets bitten by a spider. Pretty much. That's all that happens.
Okay.
Oh, and then then he starts wearing Peter Parker's costume because he's like, well, I'm Spider-Man.
And his skin.
No. He starts wearing...
Gets real dark for a while.
And then he starts wearing Peter Parker's costume, and I think it is, I want to say Jessica Drew.
First Spider-Woman.
Yeah, I think it's Jessica Drew. It might be a different Spider-Woman.
But is this Ultimate Jessica Drew?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could still be the same one. I don't know. Goes over and sees him and is just like, look, I don't know if you're doing this intentionally, but you're obviously not Spider-Man, so stop acting like Spider-Man. It's just like, well, I've got all these like powers, and it's just like, yeah, but you're not paying homage. You're ruining his name by not being as good.
Right,
so,
you need to make
get your own costume, be your own person. And that's how he...
That's cool.
That's how they basically got past not having the same costume.
That was a really ballsy move as well. I think Brian Michael Bendis is a really good comics writer. He did a good run on Daredevil, and he also... Ultimate Fantastic Four, the first few of those, that went bad quicker than most of the Ultimate stories. But the first few were really good.
Fantastic Four series.
So the first one is co-written with Mark Millar. And that's so annoying also because I love what they did with like the high school and they're all a bit younger.
Yeah.
And I was excited when Fant Four Stick, the latest Fantastic Four movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited when it was announced. I was like, oh, Josh Trank is directing and he did Chronicle and that's really good. And it looks like they're going the ultimate way and I'm going to love it. And then the movie came out and it was just utter wang.
It was
like
bad.
Next level dog shit bad. It was so awful.
So many plot holes. Just like so many plot holes.
Oh man, and it's just and
there's that
bad.
guy that looks like Example in it.
I didn't think I noticed that.
Oh, I'll Google it in a bit when we go on a break.
Yeah. So I like that also that we both read the sort of the Ultimate storylines, because I think Mark Millar's an interesting writer. He did Ultimates up to the end of Ultimates 2, so up to the end of the sort of Grand Theft America arc. And he did...
Which one's that?
Oh, it's bloody... the Ultimates is the Ultimate Avengers. He's also
Ultimate Avengers.
He's also the one that reached out to Samuel L. Jackson to be Nick Fury.
That's
And
cool.
he like reached out to him. He's like, "Can we use your likeness?" And Sam Jackson was apparently like, "Yeah, but I want first dibs on a role if there's a movie." And they're like, "Oh, he's never going to put Nick Fury in a movie." And then here we are. He got to be Nick Fury. Yeah. So Mark Millar did that, and he sometimes he goes a bit edgy though. Sometimes he goes a little bit like, "I'm so different, and my comics are so out there," because he wrote Kick-Ass and Kingsman as well.
Yeah.
Both of which are good, and I really love the movies. But there are points in his writing where you're like, okay, like tone it down a bit. And I think that's something that maybe harmed the Ultimate Universe a little bit.
Which I wanted to say that, like, with the Nick Fury character, in the General 616 universe and in the cartoons and stuff like Spider-Man cartoons, Nick Fury is an old white guy.
Yeah, so in the original comics, he is like a World War II vet.
Yeah,
but
I think he served with the Punisher.
Yeah, so the comics are having to...
World War II vet.
Well, he was World War II in the 60s, but then the comics are constantly having to retcon the continuity because they want to use the same characters. But it's like how Magneto was in the concentration camps. Makes sense when you're writing comics in the 60s and 70s, but now they've had to de-age him. Yeah. So Ultimate Magneto didn't have that past, and that's why he's kind of a much like more terroristic character.
And also, Ultimate Magneto... I want to say, you know, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which, by the way, worst name ever.
I think they're just called the Brotherhood of Mutants.
They're called the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Well, they were originally.
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Do you think we're the bad guys now?
Exactly.
It's just branding. They've got a really shit public relations officer. Damn it, Quicksilver, you need to get back to work.
Quicksilver of bad. Anyway, you need to get back to work. That seems like the only thing that he would be able to do very efficiently.
No, but I don't think he'd be a good public relations officer. I think
but he'd be able to get there quickly.
Yeah, he'd get it quickly, but I think he'd just be dicking around and he'd like write up the press releases really quickly.
He'd
be like, "We're evil, everyone's evil," and throw it out.
He'd probably wait right to like 3 seconds before he has to hand it in and just be like...
To be fair, I think I'm also playing on the fact that Ultimate Magneto is just consistently really shit to Quicksilver. Like, he hates him. And then...
you do know why he hates him, right?
Isn't it because his mum's a human?
It's because he's banging his sister.
No, I swear Magneto doesn't really mind about that.
He definitely does mind about it.
Why would he mind?
Because he's an evil mutant, but he's not into incest.
Okay, but also he's into genetic purity, because definitely it's been a thing in the comics. I think it was in the Ultimate Universe as well. Because Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, their mum was a human, and she represents to him, like, to Magneto, she represents like his one moment of sort of failing, of when he didn't put like mutant superiority first. And, you know, this is another example of Mark Millar being like quite edgy, but when Magneto comes back, Professor X basically wipes his mind and makes everyone think he kills him, and then the Brotherhood bring him back. And when he comes back, it's in the Ultimates fight the X-Men. It's pretty cool. Magneto crashes into the Ultimate base and kneecaps Quicksilver. Like, he magnets 2 like assault rifles by his legs and then just kneecaps him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Magneto, calm it down.
There was also in the Ultimate... Do you want to stop doing that? I don't know why, but it's really irritating me.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, it's just like...
I fiddle often. That's pretty bad for the camera as well. Like, sorry, camera.
Alex Ryan, the fiddler.
Oh, man. I'm gonna assume that just means I have a violin.
You play music and it makes people fight each other. Worst supervillain ever. Actually, you know what? I would imagine that to be a DC supervillain.
The Music Fighter. I don't know, Marvel's got some shit. Like, a lot of the time, supervillains are shit. The Thinker. What was that one from... We're kind of going off topic a bit. No, there was one from the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s, but I'll get back to that when we talk about the cartoon. The Spot. He's exactly who I was thinking about.
I knew that'd be who. Oh, so bad. Interesting superpower. Interesting way that he got it, but actual... But we'll go on to that when we talk about it.
Yeah, we'll go on to that when we talk about the
so,
cartoons.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing about Ultimate Magneto is the way that Nick Fury manages to... Because Nick Fury is the one that ultimately stops him.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Haha.
Thank you. When you have to point out your own puns, they stop working.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Trust the audience.
Yeah, I hope so.
Joke's on him. We don't have an audience.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, Nick Fury tells him that... he looks so like, oh my god, I've burped and people are going to see it.
It's not very ladylike.
No, you're right. Actually, isn't it?
No.
Well, everyone burps.
Everyone poops.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean doing it in public is ladylike.
Fair enough. Can't argue that logic. So, so basically, if I can actually get to the fucking end of the story this time, Nick Fury tells Magneto that mutants are not the next generation of...
Yes.
They're not Homo superior. They were genetically created in the 30s.
Yeah, but that's only a... that's like in the later years of the Ultimate Universe, because that storyline was... And I think this is when it started to get more convoluted. Because it kind of undermines the mutant-human like existential threat thing. Lucasada's great. Because, yeah, they retcon it so that Nick Fury... so that Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury... I don't know where it's gone. No, it's gone. It's loud. Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury was originally younger.
One of these ones.
But we've got so many. But they changed the storyline so that he was with Wolverine in like the 40s, and he's had his life extended, and that Wolverine was like the first mutant created, and it was like genetic experimentation that created the mutants. I don't like that plot, but I think it is a good way to take the wind out of Ultimate Magneto's sails.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's why there suddenly starts being less and less mutants, and then you get into the House of M sort of series.
That was in regular Earth, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I feel like it was. That's when Scarlet Witch goes mental and like gets rid of a bunch of the mutants.
No more mutants.
Yeah.
So then the last couple of them, mutants all live on Genosha, don't they?
Yeah, Genosha's odd because I think they've done. I think it's been destroyed like multiple times.
Yeah. Well, there was after the House of M and all the mutants were there. Then they started. What are they called? The Terrigen Mists.
The Inhumans.
Yeah, the Inhumans. Quicksilver, I think it is, or someone goes and steals the Terrigen Mists to give people back their superpowers, but their superpowers times like 1 billion.
Yeah.
So like you end up with Quicksilver being able to move so fast that he can move through time.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Flash in DC, and I think that is the problem when these characters get overpowered.
Yeah.
There's less threat.
Some of them are like Omega level mutants anyway. So
yeah, but I think I like with
Elixir.
the Omega level mutants that it's always kind of hinted at as a potential. I think it's better to be like, oh, you can be very powerful, but you've got to learn and you've got to really develop. So like Iceman's technically going to be Omega level.
Yeah.
Because his power isn't ice; it's like control over water vapor.
Yeah. Well, it's not even water. It's not even water vapor, is it? It's control of.
It's essentially atomic control, isn't it? It's like particles. Yeah.
So he can basically super freeze anything very quickly.
But he could, in theory, also like. I think that's what makes him Omega level. Is he can, in theory, completely control water or like air because it's all like.
So he's only Omega level on Earth.
It depends. I don't know. It depends if it's limited to H2O that he can control. Yes.
Because I mean, if it's instead of
unless he just carries H2O, a bottle of water with him in space.
Well, that's the thing. If he's changing H2O, then surely his power is over oxygen and hydrogen.
Yeah. So again, this is kind of the fun thing with, and I like this with comic books as well because you have the space to explore this shit because there's just so many stories that you do have the space to kind of hint at this and you get deep into the lore. That's something I really got into. It was like I'd like go on like the Marvel Wikipedia and read Marvel the pages. Wiki. It's so good.
Like Cyclops. Oh, I love Cyclops. I'm such a Cyclops fanboy.
I really like Cyclops.
I want to get a T-shirt that says, if anyone wants to buy me one, by the way, just like throwing this one out there, a Cyclops was right T-shirt.
He is often right.
Well, that's from the Avengers versus the X-Men.
Yeah, which one?
Where some of the X-Men get the Phoenix Force.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, really good,
Okay.
Series.
Give it a look.
Yeah, so they get the Phoenix Force, and it ends up with Cyclops becoming a terrorist.
Right.
And then you get kids walking around. There's one of them, I cannot remember his name, but he is an Omega level mutant, and he's like this punk sort of rebellious teen that goes to the. Is it still called the Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters in the Ultimate Universe? Because Charles Xavier dies, doesn't he? And then Emma Frost
does die. I think it's still called the Xavier School. I can't remember how he dies either.
And that's when Storm's married to T'Challa from Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
And then after the Phoenix Force gets them, it's who is it that has it? It's Cyclops, Storm. I want to say Emma Frost, Namor.
The Submariner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one other person, I can't remember. But yeah, and Namor ends up destroying part of Wakanda, and even when he's just like, "I'm really sorry, like I'll come back and help," they're just like, "You are banned from here forever."
Yeah, no, big time.
Yeah, like everyone basically goes to war with the X-Men, and because obviously the Phoenix Force makes you really, really emotional.
Yeah.
If you're like, yeah, let's do the right thing, and if that right thing means like, well, if we just kill all the humans, they can't kill the mutants, and we want to save the mutants, so let's kill all the humans.
Right. So that's what Cyclops is.
Pretty much goes into that sort of like frame of mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he ends up being saved by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, or Brotherhood of Mutants, or whatever they're called. And yeah, so now all these kids wander around with a Cyclops was right T-shirt to be like sort of, it's like their version of Che Guevara.
Oh yeah, like a revolutionary hero.
Yeah.
I like that because Cyclops is another character. I mean, it feels like we're kind of skirting into the adaptation talk now. I think because we've already mentioned the Spider-Man TV series, and I was going to say that Cyclops is one that's like not been done well in movies at all.
No, he's been made to look like such a prick. Hang on, do you want to pause that for a second?
What, for a break?
Yeah, and if we
Yeah, so we'll have a break. And so we're
we'll have a break and then we'll go back.
We'll come back and we'll come back into like adaptation sort of via Cyclops because I mean we just wound up talking about like comic book storylines we love, didn't we? Which is fun.
Yeah, I'd like.
Yeah, no, I like that. Okay, cool. Break time.
Yeah.
All right, the mic's hot. Mic's hot. We're on the air. We're on the bloody airwaves. The mic's on.
Oh, I had to proper like devour that cookie.
They're really good cookies.
They are. They're
What
so
are
much
they?
better than the other ones. They're 10p more expensive.
What are the other ones?
10p cheaper.
No, but what are they? So these are
generic.
Fox's white chocolate cookies.
I'll tell you what, the ones where you get like little bits of toffee in them, amazing.
Yeah, they're
They
so
come
good.
in a brown packet. They've only got the blue ones and the white.
I like these
ones,
white
so-
chocolate ones though. They're better than the dark chocolate or milk chocolate or whatever it is. Anyway,
They're interesting.
back to it. We're live, baby. We're not live.
So, Cyclops.
Yeah. So adaptations. I guess Cyclops is as good a jumping off point as any. And then I also wanted to get into like some differences in the two mediums between like comics and like film and TV. But yeah, so Cyclops obviously in the movies I don't think he's done well at all.
Not at all, like because he actually has an incredible, like depending on where you see his superpower coming from, he has an insane superpower. He doesn't just shoot lasers out. His eyes are when he opens his eyes, it goes to a different dimension.
Yeah, it's a portal, isn't it?
And it releases. What's it called? The end dimension or something?
I
Negative
don't know.
zone.
Oh, is it the negative zone?
Yeah, I think so. And all of that energy then comes out of his eyes, and he can. Professor Xavier has put a block on. Sorry, there's something just on. Is there something on my eyebrow? Like I can see something out the corner of my eye.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's really irritating. Anyway, so Professor X has put a block on it so that he can't use it to his full potential, which personally I think is a dick move. Like,
Well, Professor X does
why
that,
does he
doesn't
get to like decide things like that? He does the same thing with Jean Grey. Actually.
Yeah, well, with good reason.
Well, really?
Well, the Phoenix didn't the Phoenix blow up a galaxy?
Yeah, but that's the Phoenix Force, and Jean Grey and the Phoenix Force are separate entities.
Yeah, but I swear when she uses her full potential, doesn't she risk the Phoenix Force or something?
Yeah, before it's risk calling the Phoenix Force. But really, that should be her decision.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I don't
very
know.
sort of like authoritarian, isn't it?
it is. Professor X has that though. There's that issue, and it comes up a few times in the Ultimate X-Men stories as well, where they're like, how do we know he's not just brainwashing us all the time? Like, we do live with an incredibly powerful telepath.
Yeah.
Which I quite like that's kind of played with a bit. But yeah, Cyclops.
Oh yeah, so
he's put a block on it.
So he puts a block on it, and then he can. There's one episode in which they're trying to get into a nuclear bunker before the nukes go off or something.
Yeah.
I think it might have been in the
Is this the
cartoon.
90s cartoon?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hulk actually. No, it was. I think it's in the comic. Anyway, and so they can't get through. Like Wolverine's trying and everything, and nothing's really working. And yeah, so Cyclops just opens his eyes, and Professor X takes off the block.
Yeah.
But I think it gives him brain damage.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Also-
it's quite dangerous power.
Just in a bit, can we talk about side effects of using their powers? Just like when you
Yeah.
think about it,
Yeah.
Wolverine's claws, adamantium, he can heal. That's cool. What's to stop it from ripping his skeleton out?
Yeah, no, that
Stuff
cool.
like that.
But the other thing about Cyclops is not just his power; it's that his character is very strong. Like when he's well written, he's not just a kind of like uptight arsehole. He's actually like a genuinely very competent leader.
Yeah,
And he goes hand to hand with people that are super powered.
Yeah, which considering all from what I can gather, all superheroes have a even if it's just like low key, but they have a healing ability. So like Spider-Man has.
Spider-Man does.
Yeah.
I think partly that's partly to excuse like comic book physics.
Yeah.
Like, obviously real, even sort of badass normals couldn't do a lot of what comic book people are shown doing.
Yeah, like Captain America, even though his superpower is peak human efficiency, like he's
basically meant to be peak human in like strength, speed, stamina.
But he also, because his immune system is so good and he heals so quickly, they actually mention it in the film actually, that he can't get drunk.
Yeah, no, they do. I really, really like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing Captain America. Actually, he's my favorite character in it. But yeah. So I think it's interesting also that the movies, obviously Wolverine's like the most popular X-Men character by far. It makes sense they'd put him at the front of the movies, but it does mean a lot of other characters get shortchanged. So Cyclops doesn't show up as the team leader that he should be.
He's the wrong height.
Yeah, no, I like
5'4".
I love Hugh Jackman in the role.
Hugh Jackman's like 6'1", 6'2".
I love Hugh Jackman in the role, but he's a beautiful man, and Wolverine is not.
No.
Hugh Jackman's like clearly very conventionally handsome. Wolverine's like at his best, he's a little ugly fighty guy.
Yeah, like I would imagine that you wouldn't want to get too close because he smells a little bit.
Yeah, but I bet he smells.
Yeah, it's proper just like.
And he also can't get drunk, which is why he's always drinking.
Yeah,
he's like just does it for a tiny bit of a buzz just to feel anything. So yeah, he's not going to smell
alive
good.
as long as he has though, since the 1800s.
Yeah.
What's his name? James Hewlett.
Yeah, James Howlett.
James Howlett.
He's Canadian.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? I don't think he is. I think he was American and then moved to Canada.
Okay.
And spent so long there that he got citizenship, and that's when he went in the Weapons X program.
Yeah, Weapon X is in Canada, I think.
Yeah.
But then also, this is the comic books. I guess this is kind of a general thing I was going to say about adaptation is that the great thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe did was put these characters and enable them to go off and do their own movies and then come back and mix and mingle like they do in comic books. The downside is that comic books are I think it's because they're so much cheaper to produce. So much cheaper that you can do a risky comic book storyline, and if it doesn't quite add up or it's not well received, it doesn't matter that much. Like, you can always produce more comic books very easily. Whereas movies, like, they cost the hundreds of millions. They're big blockbuster films. And I think it's maybe a case. So, when a movie comes out and is popular, you can see the comic books kind of take elements of it and recontextualize them. So since Nick Fury has been played by Samuel L. Jackson and has become more a sort of popular figure, they've introduced Black Nick Fury into 616, and he's like a different character. He's like Nick Fury Jr. or something.
Yeah.
But they have brought him in. And the comic books can do that, and they can do things, they can have characters that don't age, or they can switch them out. So you've got, the new Hulk is like a sort of younger Asian guy. Iron Man, there are now Iron Man stories where it's like a young woman in the suit. You can do that much easier, because it's not such a big gamble.
Yeah, I was going to say that was from... what's her name? Pepper Potts having her own suit in Iron Man 3.
Oh, is that where it came from?
Or it could have been introduced in the comics and then that's...
Yeah, so there's this kind of reflexiveness, so in the Wolverine thing as well, because, they had that Wolverine Origins movie, which was fucking terrible. Did you watch that? It was so bad. So and it's so weirdly directed as well.
The one with Deadpool in it, in which Deadpool's...
Yeah, he's got the swords that come out of his arms.
And shoots lasers and
yeah.
stuff. It's just like... Okay, this is
so bad. But the like probably the one bit of that that's genuinely good is the opening where it's like the montage of Wolverine and Sabretooth in all the battles.
Yeah, that was cool.
But because I think pretty much every X-Men movie shows Weapon X at some point. And in the comics, Weapon X was like more mysterious. But now the movies are kind of taking elements like Alkali Lake and Colonel Stryker. Because Colonel Stryker in the movie was based off Reverend Stryker in the comics, who's like an anti-mutant hate preacher.
Yeah.
But now the movies are influencing the comics.
Sabretooth is his father.
I don't know. In the comics, it's notoriously
in the cartoon,
unclear.
90s cartoon.
Is his dad?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it was actually...
I like them as brothers.
I swear I might be his brother, actually, then.
Yeah.
But the thing, in order for that to work, it would either have to... Because Sabretooth is old as shit.
Yeah.
He's got a low-key healing ability as well.
I thought it depends though, because that's another thing in comics. Comics can be a bit less consistent, whereas in movies you're like, if I've invested in this version of this character, I want to see the powers presented in the same and in a consistent way. Whereas sometimes Sabretooth's healing ability is off the charts, because one of the things in the comics is that the adamantium slows Wolverine's healing, and because he's constantly fighting the sort of metal binding in the body.
Yeah.
So they had that storyline where Magneto ripped all the adamantium off his bones,
I remember.
and he became more fragile, but also healed much, much quicker. So in some stories, Sabretooth heals like quicker than Wolverine, but doesn't have the adamantium, so you can like chop his arm off or something.
What?
Whereas in others, his healing's like slower.
Did you see that? It's in the Ultimate series again, where Wolverine gets blown up by a grenade, and you see it like frame by frame of what happens, and then frame by frame of his body
I
putting
think I
itself back
did see
together
that,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Because also Ultimate Sabretooth's a bit different. And he has like adamantium bonded to him, and there's that great bit in the Weapon X story where Wolverine's fighting Sabretooth, and Sabretooth's like, yeah, I've been updated, look what I've got. And he has like 4 claws come out of each arm, and Wolverine's like, really? You have the same as me, but just 1 more claw? Like, you're a dick. You're a piece of shit. And then there's this weird bit, like, where Wolverine manages to decapitate him, and it says, like, heal that or something, and then it turns out that he actually did, because in comic books, no one can stay dead. Whereas in movies, I think that's one of the problems, is that we kind of want to feel that there are dramatic stakes. I want to feel like the characters might die. They might be put in quite a dangerous situation. They might not make it out. But in the movies, they can't kill them, because if you kill them and then bring them back, then that cheapens death for like the whole franchise, the whole universe.
The other
and
thing...
they kind of are touching on that in the Marvel universe a bit, because Agent Coulson dies in Avengers. Loki stabs him.
Yeah,
and then he's just back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they show that, they do show it was hard to bring him back and really horrible and like really fucked up as a process. But the fact that they can do that is still a little bit like, if you're just going to bring people back all the time,
then what does death mean?
Yeah.
Also, considering death's an actual character in the MCU. Like,
I think it'd be interesting. Do you think they're going to do that? Because that's another thing comics can do. And I think, again, it comes down to comics
it'll be
being
interesting to see it
cheaper
with
to make,
Deadpool.
less of a risk. Whether Deadpool interacts with that, and also whether Thanos does.
yeah.
Because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, to its credit, I think, it's leaving Earth more and going out more
Yeah.
and being more cosmic and a bit weird. Like, we've already seen the Watchers in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I didn't actually watch all of that.
It's good. I think I have a problem with Marvel movies. They're all good movies. They're not like, some are worse, some are better, some are genuinely great. But the more you see of them, there is a formula. And they can't not have a formula, because then they wouldn't be in the same universe. But
Yeah.
it's kind of... And it's like they can't do that thing that comics do, where they're like, okay, we're just going to shake everything up, and if it doesn't work, like, screw it, we'll just come back.
Yeah.
Because they've invested, like, they've planned it out to, like, 2028 or something, I think.
Really?
Yeah, Kevin Feige, he's, like, the head of the sort of cinematic division. They've, to the extent that they've kind of planned in release dates for a lot of things.
There was something I wanted to say about the X-Men movies.
Right.
Because the X-Men 90s cartoon is fantastic.
Great theme song as well.
Yeah.
I
I actually learned how to play that.
Did you?
Yeah, I can. Well, I'm not very good at it, but I can play on guitar.
Oh, sweet.
I'll teach it to you later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and it's dark and it's gritty and it's basically it is an adult cartoon. No, it's a cartoon for adults. It's not an adult cartoon.
They're all having sex. I don't know if it's for adults. I think you can definitely enjoy it as an adult, but it is also good Saturday morning kids TV. Because they used to rerun that and the 90s Spider-Man cartoon when I was younger. I got so into them. What? That's a weird theme tune though, because it's like a kind of hip 90s remake. They were just like Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, and I think it sounds wank, and it's like the early
The guitar
stages.
is really cool though.
Yeah, the guitar solo is good. But it was a good time for superhero
My guitar
cartoons.
doesn't go past 12 though, actually, so it's really difficult to play.
You just break it. It's only got
goes
12 frets.
No. It goes further, but like.
It just doesn't sound good. Love it.
No, I can't. It doesn't have like a cutaway section, so I can't actually get it.
Really, get that. Yeah, it is annoying when you're playing a.
Also, I had to learn it. Like, there's no tab for it, so I had to learn it by watching someone else play it.
Yeah,
which is always fun. But
those cartoons, they're good for kids, but you can still enjoy them.
Well, it's got sections of like Wolverine lying, like it's become a meme actually. Wolverine lying in bed, looking at a picture of Jean and being like, Jean. And like,
I think also if you go back and watch them, some of the like line readings and writing in those shows are a bit hokey, especially a lot of the stuff Wolverine says. Yeah, hokey, a bit rough around a little bit. You watching it, so it's a bit corny. I don't know why I'm speaking like a 50s guy. Yeah. Wow, it's a bit hokey, see? Yeah. Not sure about that. A little bit
being
corny.
like J. Jonah Jameson, which, what fucking name is that? Like, superheroes, yes, makes total sense that they have a name that, I can't remember, and 2 letters are the same.
Yeah, I know, like Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
Peter Parker, Scott Summers.
Yeah, I fucking love J. Jonah Jameson though as a character. I love him in the movies where he's played by J.K. Simmons. That's like perfect casting. I'm so glad they haven't recast him. Just get J.K. Simmons back. I don't care. I'm not confused about being in a different universe. Don't care. Bring him back.
So good. It's just a perfect.
Have you seen the outtake from Spider-Man 2 where J. Jonah Jameson's wearing the Spider-Man costume?
I tell you what, this speaks volumes. Which Spider-Man 2?
The first one, the good one, with Dr. Octopus.
Oh, that's not the good one.
Yeah, that's the good one.
No. The Amazing Spider-Man, way better than Spider-Man.
No.
You can get fucked. Are you insane?
Seriously. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is so terrible.
Andrew Garfield, fucking banging Spider-Man.
He is a great Spider-Man. He's an okay Peter Parker and a great Spider-Man.
That's the thing. He wasn't a very good Peter Parker.
But those movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the first one I like, the second one I dislike, but the stuff that works best is always the Peter and Gwen stuff. Because they've got two very good actors and a really good sort of romantic comedy style writing.
The stuff where they all the like sort of build up to the actual films where they had like someone in a Spider-Man costume asking questions at Comic-Con, and then someone's just like, well, really, like Andrew Garfield's not here, but you're just like, oh, that's okay. Just takes the mask.
That's awesome.
It's just like, and everyone's just like, oh my god, or like even when they did adverts for other stuff, but with Andrew Garfield in it, because he is just he's such a good Spider-Man.
He is.
Like he proper nails.
I like the new guy though as well.
Oh,
I haven't seen Homecoming, but
I haven't seen Homecoming either. Actually,
I like him in Civil War. Tom Holland.
That's it.
I like that we're seeing a younger Spider-Man.
It's also when he first started filming, when he first got the part of Spider-Man, he was still a teenager.
Yeah, which is really depressing. He's Spider-Man. I mean, you arguably are. I'm definitely not, and I'm older than him. Also, are you? For those listening that can't see, obviously, for all the blind people listening, no, for those listening and not also watching the video, Alex Velas is wearing a Spider-Man morph suit.
Yeah, a full Spider-Man morph suit. I'm not wearing. I haven't got the face on.
No, yeah, he's got his face uncovered.
Yeah. For mic purposes.
But then that's an interesting thing from a point of view of adaptation as well, because the Amazing Spider-Man came out. I'm fairly sure that was
also, that costume was amazing.
I really like it.
What's your favourite Spider-Man costume?
I like the one from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is more comic accurate. Oh, my favourite variant.
Yeah.
I don't know, I like the classic. I like the classic one a lot.
Big fan of the Iron Spider.
Yeah, that's cool. But again,
the Venom suit's very cool.
The black suit's awesome, and when that's done well as a storyline, I really like that it makes him more aggressive. Not like when it's done in Spider-Man 3 in the movie, where he's just doing his jazz dance.
Have you watched
and then he hits Mary Jane.
Have you watched that with no sound?
No.
Like, just like they've taken out all of the music and stuff like that and just added in what people would think as he was walking past.
So he's just going...
Yeah, and being like... It's like, how could you... I can't believe that they... Like, honest to God, it's just the cringiest thing. There is one other thing. It's like, it's a... What's his name? Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, plays Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yeah.
There's a scene in a different film, but I'll explain this part first. The fucking... Him walking down the street being like... I know the people listening can't see me, like, jigging, but, like... And then, like clicking his fingers, and he's got that fucking... Oh, my God, that fucking fringe. What the fuck is that? Like, you fucking animals. How is that meant to, like, signify this, like... Oh, yeah,
it's like
I'm so evil.
Fringe.
And it's just like... Ugh. I cannot believe, I honestly cannot believe that it got, like...
Well, someone like the sheer number of people that had to sign off on that and say,
exactly.
Like, everyone in the costume design department, they all had to look at that, and like when the scene was storyboarded, written out, they kind of took it to the executives, because even though it's made by Sony, they are still in contact with Marvel. Marvel still does have, and they must have been like, yeah, it's fine, go for it. Like everyone at every level, like Tobey Maguire had to do it, and they had to do that entire jazz scene. Like where he plays the piano, and it's all intensely choreographed. The number of people that were involved signing off and saying, "Yeah, it's fine, love it."
I can only imagine.
Love it.
I can only imagine that the fucking MCU, Marvel were just like,
this will ruin them.
Let's just say they can do it, and we'll see what happens.
They won't actually do it.
There's no like, this must be a joke script or something. Like, there's no way that they can. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
What, they're in the cinema? Shit, they did it.
I just. The mind boggles at the sheer, like you were saying, the amount of people that had to be like, this
is what we want. This is what we want from our Spider-Man movie.
I just fucking... And Tobey Maguire is such a fucking bad Peter Parker. And I
like him as Peter Parker.
I tell you, when it was Peter Parker before Spider-Man,
Yeah.
He was actually quite good then.
I don't know. The Sam Raimi movies are different. They're very clearly they're like not meant to be in
Also,
a comic book universe. Then the comic book like
Sam Raimi, like
he's a good director.
no, that's the thing. He is a good director. So what the fuck were those monstrosities
Well, like-
that he put? Like at what point?
Hey, the first two are good. The first
No,
two are
they weren't.
genuinely...
Okay,
Spider-Man
the third
2
one
is great.
The third one that is not a film. The worst thing about being a Spider-Man fan, the absolute worst thing about being a Spider-Man fan, is knowing that when it comes onto the screen, right, it will be bad. Knowing that as a fact,
Spider-Man 2 is a great film with Doctor Octopus.
Spider-Man 2 is the best film out of those three.
Yeah, but like the first two are they're
That doesn't-
genuinely good
dude,
movies.
It's literally like someone's been like, okay, the first one, that was okay, but we can build on this. You know, we have the technology.
Yeah. And then the
We
third
can make it better.
the third one, they're like, let's fuck it up.
Yeah, let's just like we
But
don't
that
even
was,
like.
that was a weird time for superhero movies as well because X-Men 3 they also dropped the ball and rat fucked that one.
Which one was that?
The Last Stand with Vinnie Jones as the Juggernaut.
Oh, mate, no.
But they came out like within a year of each other. And that one is more explicable because Bryan Singer left to do Superman Returns, which is like, okay, it's boring.
It's better.
It's alright. But
I'm really glad that the camera's just in you go.
yeah, I'm gassy.
It's like you're in you're stoic falling.
I'm really
stoic
really
having Bell's
slowly
palsy.
having a stroke. Yeah, so Bryan Singer left and they got Brett Ratner in. But that was also the time, it was before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was before people really knew what worked for superhero movies. So the first two X-Men movies, the first two Spider-Man movies, they're very clearly finding their feet, but they're good movies. And then in the third one, I think Sony and Spider-Man really interfered. Like, we need to put Venom in it. Let's put Venom in. Sam Raimi's like, I don't want to put Venom in. I've got this storyline lined up with the Sandman, and that bit's very good. The Sandman stuff in Spider-Man 3 is really good.
Yeah, it's because the Sandman's like one of the original villains, isn't it?
Yeah, like really old.
Also,
character.
if instead of having Venom, if they'd had the Sandman and Hydro Man,
They could have done,
they-
yeah,
'cause
because
they
they
team
fight
up quite a lot.
in the cartoon, didn't they?
what's the Sandman's name?
Flint Marco.
Flint Marco.
And he's played really well in that film as well by Thomas Hayden Church. I don't know
How
why
do
I
you
know
remember
that.
these?
I don't know. I just know things. But yeah, so
I just know
I think
things.
Sam
What do we
Sam
know?
Raimi wanted to do. At one point, he wanted to do the Vulture in a Spider-Man 4, but he definitely didn't want to go the Venom route because he hates the character. I
Really?
think Venom can be done well,
If
but
Venom-
the problem
yeah.
is the directors forced him to do Venom, and it came out shit.
Yeah.
And then he had to do the black suit, which he clearly doesn't get and doesn't like, and just was like, "Fuck it, I don't care," and then left the franchise.
It's a shame because Venom is such a powerful character. I mean, like the
Yeah.
Agent Venom in the comics, for example.
Is that Flash Thompson
Yeah.
as Venom? Yeah.
Fucking brilliant character.
I think that sort of thing would work better in a TV show or in a cinematic universe because then you can build storylines early. Like you
Agent
can't
Venom's
do.
going to be a TV series.
Well, they're releasing a Venom movie. Sony are releasing a Venom movie that's like tangentially tied to Spider-Man because Sony had plans with Amazing Spider-Man. They had plans. They wanted to make their own Spider-Man.
Tangentially a word.
Tangentially, yeah. It just sounds funny. It's a word.
Is there sure it's not just like tangentially?
No, it's tangentially.
Camera?
Tangentially is a word.
I don't fucking ask you to speak.
You kind of did. You kind of looked at him and asked him for an opinion. And then when he said it and it wasn't what you wanted, you told him off. Let's not pretend that you didn't ask him to speak. Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Mark.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, Amazing Spider-Man...
Sorry, Digby.
Yeah, we are sorry, Digby. Sony wanted to build up their own Spider-Man universe. So that's
They did a
why
fucking poor job at that, didn't they, cunts?
Well,
Jesus
that's
Christ.
why in Amazing Spider-Man 2, it ends with him about to fight the Rhino, and like they have that room just full of costumes. They have that room where it's got like Doctor Octopus's arms
Yeah.
and the Vulture's wings and all of it. And they wanted to do like a Spider-Verse. They were going to do like a Silver Sable movie.
Oh, do you mean like the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, kind of like how it is in the comics. But
I got hyped for that, and then it.
I'm quite glad it didn't happen because I think based off the way they were doing Amazing Spider-Man 2 especially, the first one I do like, but the second one is just so like botched together.
Man, I've
also,
been-
Jamie Foxx's Electro is terrible.
That was it. That's the. Yeah, what is that about? Because Electro is Oh no, I'm thinking of the Shocker. Which
I
is,
like
by
the
the way,
Shocker.
the worst name for a superhero when you think
In,
about what it actually.
Did you ever
is.
read that Ultimate storyline where the Shocker shows up, but it's very briefly at the start, and he's treated like a total joke? He's
Yeah.
just a guy with like some zapping hand things.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's like, the Shocker, what's that about? That's a shit name. You suck, guy who I just stopped in the first 5 panels.
Yeah,
He
no.
like hangs him up and just mocks him.
Why? Because they didn't have like Electro's fucking traditional like lightning faced thing, did they?
I mean, that would have looked odd on camera, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking
they-
terrible design.
The
for it.
design in the movie is based off Ultimate Electro, who's got the kind of black suit, bald thing going on.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's really unclear what he actually is. And also, Jamie Foxx's performance is just utter dog shit. He's like this kind of nervous guy running around, and I don't think Jamie Foxx can pull that off because he's too cool
Yeah.
to be that nervous guy. And then he falls into the vat of electric eels. And then...
Can we just clarify? That's a sentence that once again someone was just like,
and then he falls into
a vat of electric eels. Now, in a comic book world,
Fine.
that's fine.
Yeah.
On film, vat of electric eels. No, like
I also like...
it's like, oh look, he's now got the power to like summon volcanoes because he fell in lava.
He fell in a volcano.
Electric
Also,
lava,
he falls
radioactive
in this
lava.
vat of electric eels, and in the movie, it's done really poorly. Like everyone at work hates him. They're like, "Oh, just go fucking clean the tank out or whatever."
Clean
and
out
he's
the
like,
electric
and he's
eel
hanging
tank.
over it, and the scene goes on for like 5 straight minutes
Yeah.
of Jamie Foxx like teetering, like almost falling in, and he's like, "Is he gonna? Oh no, he's all right. Oh
It's like,
no."
oh, it's meant to build tension, but we know already
We
from
know-
the trailer,
we know what's gonna happen.
fucking trailer, that you were going to be Electro. So,
It's-
is he going to fall? Of course he's going to fall in. If he doesn't fall in, why have we watched 5 minutes of him almost falling in?
It's also totally unclear what he actually is because after that point
Look
he
how
can like
animated
yeah
I
I
am.
know but like it's
Spider-Man.
after that point he can like manifest
Lucasade
himself
kicked in.
as just energy, as just electricity, and that's bizarre because like, he manifests himself as electricity. Then they give him this suit with this weird little like brain chip that means that he just looks like blue Jamie Foxx.
He looks like Mr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan
Mr. Manhattan, his lesser known husband.
before he got his PhD.
Yeah, lesser known husband. That was a well, yeah, because like a doctor always goes before a. So if my mother was a doctor, it would be Dr. Harper and Mr. Harper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. Manhattan and Mr. Manhattan.
yeah, it could be his husband.
Dr. Manhattan's gay, isn't he?
No, he's with what's her name?
So I'm sure he's.
Silk Spectre. He's with her.
But I think he's.
But
like,
he's
with
increasingly like asexual.
Yeah.
And he just isn't invested because I think they do it in the movie as well because the Watchmen movie is okay. It's like it falls down because it just adapts the comics in such a straight way, and also because Zack Snyder's a terrible director. He directs like a 12-year-old boy. But we'll get to that when we talk about the DC adaptation movies.
Okay. That's really going to be more your. All I can do is shout about Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think the Spider-Man stuff's fun. The DC stuff just quickly. I think they've got a bad director on it. They don't know what they're doing. And
What else does he direct?
Batman vs Superman.
That was fucking awful.
He directed the first
What's-
bit of the Justice League, and now they've brought Joss Whedon in to reshoot.
Joss Whedon's amazing.
Joss Whedon's great.
Can we just clarify that? In what world, obviously the DC one, but in what world is Batman versus Superman even a plausible argument?
Well, they have fought in the comics, and it makes sense if you do it right. Like,
It doesn't make any sense. You're literally Superman is, for all intents and purposes, a god.
yeah,
Like there is nothing. It's only kryptonite that can harm him,
They-
and we're led to believe that kryptonite is rare. Like we're not talking
yeah,
about.
but
like,
then in the comics, it's like everywhere. Like whenever they need it, there's just a big old bunch of kryptonite.
and it's just like how because they only came. Obviously, it came from planet Krypton.
So
As that exploded, and it was so. Sorry, I'm just going to talk
Yeah.
over you.
it's fine.
Cool. As Krypton exploded and all of the kryptonite went out everywhere, a surprisingly large amount somehow.
A surprisingly
found its way
large
to Earth.
amount wound up in like Lex Luthor's pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
He just went
And-
into his garden. He's like, it's raining kryptonite.
And Batman, considering you already know that he isn't willing to kill anyone. Right?
Well, in
So-
that movie, he is.
Yeah, well-
in that movie, he's like machine gunning cars. He throws a car into another car. He just go. It's been said all the time on the internet, but he is just a mass murderer in that movie.
yeah, but then again, Superman is also inadvertently a mass murderer because of
But also pretty advertently, some of the shit that he does.
it's not a good film.
It's
It's
not.
also a stupid premise. Like, let's see who's going to win, a man or an actual god.
So when it's written well, a Batman vs Superman story can be. So the
Explain it to
archetypal
me.
fight is.
Explain
in,
it to me, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why you're wrong.
Well, the archetypal fight is in Dark Knight Returns, which is a really good comic book. Frank Miller before he went batshit insane, and it's like one of the key Batman
go insane?
stories. Oh, he started.
He killed his wife. With
He
his Batman
became
figure.
really aggressive and authoritarian in his writing, and he wrote a book called like All Star Batman and Robin that's just bizarre. So that's the one where Batman kidnaps Robin as Robin's parents are killed. Batman kidnaps him and puts him in the Batmobile, to the extent that like there's a panel where like Superman sees a milk carton with Dick Grayson missing on it and gets angry and just burns it with his laser vision.
Heat vision.
And Batman, heat vision, sorry. And Batman like drives Robin clearly across the country because he has him in the Batmobile. And there's a line of dialogue where Robin's like, What is this? What's going on? And Batman's like, what are you, retarded or something? I'm the goddamn Batman. And he calls... Yeah, so that's bad Frank Miller.
Also,
Good Frank
can we just
Miller.
clarify? It'd have been so just as a pun if he'd said, "I'm the Gotham Batman."
Gotham.
Yeah, instead of goddamn.
Gotham. Oh, Gotham! I thought like a Goth ham. I was way off. I thought like a pig with a fringe. The other pigs don't understand me.
Is that literally you growing up?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the
was-
Gotham TV series, amazing.
Is it?
It's fucking... Have you not seen it?
No.
It is fucking amazing. And,
Okay.
unsurprisingly, Batman's a little bitch in it.
Makes sense. So yeah, anyway, the Batman vs Superman. So the main, like the best fight they have in the comics is in Dark Knight Returns. So it's in like a sort of quasi dystopian.
I thought you were saying
future.
Dire Knights. You're saying Dark Knight,
Yeah,
aren't you?
I speak funny.
No, probably. But I thought you were saying Dire Knight, and I was like, I have no idea.
Don't know what Dark Knight. No, Dark Knight Returns. Great story. Blah blah blah. And the kind of main conflict at the end is that superheroes have been outlawed. It's one of those dystopian future things. And Superman is still around working for the US government because he essentially doesn't age. And he's like enforcing them. And he has this meeting with Batman where he's like, look, Bruce, if you keep doing this, I'm going to have to stop you. I'm going to have to
I don't
put you
know.
down.
Why does he have to stop him?
Because the US government's like, we can't have vigilantes running around.
Oh, so like
Batman. They've
Civil
already
War.
been outlawed.
So like Civil War.
Kind of, but like in the future. So Batman's old. And he comes back and it's just a good story. And
Yeah, sounds remarkably similar to Civil War.
so anyway, I'm trying to think how
Which one came out first?
that by like decades. Civil War
Right.
was 2006. Dark Knight Returns was 1980. I think 1984 or 86. It's in that run of like classic graphic novels because there's that Year One, which Frank Miller also wrote. That's like a Batman Begins took heavily from that, and Watchmen were like the three big comics that made people think, oh, like superhero comics can be mature.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think how it goes. I'm not sure if Batman's involved in it or not, but by the time he fights Superman, Superman's already been hit by a nuclear missile and an EMP has gone off. And the nuclear ash is like clouding the sun. So
Yeah.
he's already weakened because he gets his powers from the sun.
Well, he gets
And-
his powers from UV radiation.
Yeah, so there's like a cloud of ash that's stopping him getting enough radiation. So he's already very weakened. Batman's done a lot of preparation. He's got Green Arrow on his side, and Green Arrow's got like kryptonite tipped arrows. And Batman basically has a power suit, and he's like he has to suck the power from like an entire city block to even keep up with Superman. And in that fight, Batman still essentially dies. Spoilers. So even then, even with all those conditions, Batman has his moment where he's kind of beating Superman, but because he's really, really old, in the end he slows down and dies, and then it turns out he kind of he staged a cardiac arrest and faked his own death, blah 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 blah. But even then, like that's well written because it's so clearly set up and it's a conflict of ideologies, and there's all these pre-battle things that have gone into it. Whereas in Batman vs Superman, it's just like I'm just gonna shoot him with some machine guns and hit him for a bit. Like Superman's not weakened at all. There's no reason for them to fight. There's no like backstory. They don't know each other. Batman's just like he's gotta die, gotta kill him, and then he gets the spear, and it's just wank, utter wank.
Who wins in Batman vs Superman in the film?
Batman wins. He has Superman pinned down, and he's got a. You must remember this bit. It's the Martha scene. He's got the spear.
I
above
didn't
him.
even watch the whole film. I was like, I can't. There's very few
I
times.
went to see it in the cinema, and I was
You
like,
mug.
okay, glad I went because it's a big event and parts of it were good. The one film I regret seeing in the cinema was Suicide Squad. Like I felt like the movie thought I was really stupid. Like the movie was like talking down to me and it was shit. Anyway, so Batman's got
They're making
Superman.
a Suicide Squad too.
I know they are and they shouldn't. Anyway, Batman's got Superman and he's got the kryptonite spear and he's got it to his throat. And Superman. So the reason they fight is like Lex Luthor kidnapped. This is fucking trying to explain the plot of this film. Utter bollocks. So Lex Luthor kidnaps Superman's mum, and says he wants Superman to kill Batman, otherwise he kills his mum. And Superman comes over and he's like, "I don't want to fight you. I've got to explain," and doesn't explain. And Batman just starts hitting him, and then like Superman responds by pushing Batman through a wall rather than trying to talk him down. Like he could have just hovered out of reach and been like, "Here's what's going on." Batman winds up with him on the floor and he has a kryptonite spear prepared. And he walks up to him, he's got his foot on Superman's throat with a spear in his face. And he's like, I'm going to kill you, because Batman's crazy in this universe.
Can we just clarify that Superman would still just be like, no? Like, pinned down, he has frost breath and heat eyes.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
bad,
there's
it's a bad movie, so he doesn't use them. And then
he use them at any point?
Superman lies there and he goes, save Martha! You've got to save Martha! Because his mum's name is Martha. Batman's mum is also called Martha.
Yeah.
And Batman goes, why did you say that name? Why? And, like, obviously, and people that defend the movie are like, no, it's because he realises Superman's human, and like, he realises he's not the enemy, he's not an evil alien, and it's a really good character moment. I'm like, no, it's I always appreciate what they're trying to do, but it comes off as shit, because Superman has to really unnaturally refer to his mother by her first name, and say, save Martha, rather than being like, he's got my mum, he just says, you've got to save Martha. And Batman's reaction isn't to say, oh, what have I done? I'm about to, kill a man that people love. Instead, he just goes, why did you say that name? Like, why are you talking about my mother?
Also, doesn't Batman not kill?
And then they're mates. In that movie, he very much kills. he very clearly murders in that movie. It's really bad. I think that's an example of like Zack Snyder's direction. Also, interestingly, this podcast I really like, Weekly Planet, have a couple videos on YouTube. And one of them is 5 ways Batman could beat Superman, but their immediate follow-up was 50 ways Superman could beat Batman. And at the end, they're like, he could just punch his head off. Like, in any fair fight, 9 times out of 10, Superman murders Batman.
9 times out of 10?
All but, like, maybe once. Like, Superman just actively just kills him.
Can we just clarify? It sounds like Zack Snyder's direction is take everything that you know about the DC universe, ignore it, and then smash your head in with a brick.
But what he does is he's good at making things look cool. So like in Watchmen, part of the reason he fucked that up a bit was because he was so keen on making it all slow motion and then fast motion and then slow again.
This sounds daft, but can we trade seats? My neck's getting a bit of a...
Oh, I love this seat.
I don't care, come on.
Oh, that's not fair. So yeah, he's basically...
Really uncomfortable.
He's more concerned about making things look cool.
Should we maybe carry on this conversation when we've switched places?
Yeah, sorry. Change places. He's more concerned about making things look cool. And
oh mate, you lucked out with this chair, didn't you?
yeah, it's great.
This is a good chair.
That's my chair officially.
Yeah. In my house.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not your house now. It's his house.
It's really warm as well.
Yeah.
I sit here farting.
Yeah, I know. I have. I've been warming it up.
Thanks.
And I think the DC movies, the way they're going now, is like a good example of how not to build a cinematic universe and an adaptation, because
it's just
you
the
fuck
Marvel
the existing
universe.
canon. Well, they're just
like the early 2000s.
Well, the early two, the comics universe, because the
God, Jesus Christ! Don't even get me started on the comics universe, early 2000 Marvel, because it's just.
You mean the movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
they sold all the rights to a load of different places, and nobody really knowed.
Yeah, but DC are developing
Jesus
these
Christ.
films.
No one really knowed how to do it.
No.
Actually, "node" does work in that sentence.
No, it's definitely new.
Yeah, but I feel that.
It's new.
Yeah, I know. It's a new way of saying new.
Haha!
Thank you.
A canoe.
What?
It's spelled with K in it.
Isn't that a type of money in something?
Canards are off Harry Potter.
Oh, that's it.
Nerds. Just gonna check my phone while we're recording. I'm just on my phone.
It's on camera, man.
I know. I'm gonna see if anyone's like asked any questions. Yeah. So you're saying it's like when Sony.
God, that's really the chair of like I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's because they're so good. It's like when Sony and Fox were making Spider-Man movies, didn't really know what to do, and wound up fucking them. Except in this case, they do have a department dedicated to like.
Do you want to maybe turn the vibration off?
No. Also, we're gonna try and like for this podcast as well. At the end, we're gonna like answer questions that people have said. But because we're really unprepared, that people are commenting on our statuses, and we're like, okay, we're filming, we're recording. Like, someone say something. The only question I got is, what model of camera is that? Because I want one. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking answer that. Do your research. The guy that asked it is like a film like videography guy.
Really?
Like, how am I supposed to know what model? I can see it's got Canon written on it. It's Canon.
It's an EOS C.
EOS C.
what it
Yeah.
says on
Okay.
it.
Fine. There's your fucking answer. Listen for
Also-
an hour.
I said,
And then you'll find out. Fucking rather than just googling it. Rather than just googling your fucking camera. Ugh,
dude,
go on.
when I posted on mine, I said, we're doing the Alex and Alex podcast, filming and recording it today, doing it on comic books, TVs, and films. If anybody has any questions, post below. Someone said, do you think that the people in the spoken word scene are are stagnating because of X, Y, and Z or something like that. And I was just like, about the podcast. Like, don't just ask me a question. And then I've got other people being like, oh, I'll listen to that.
Fuck off.
Just like, am I the idiot for not like specifying about the podcast? Or is it...
Just ask me any question. Like, ask me any question and I'll find an answer. I'm not fucking Google.
Oh, we did that last week though, didn't we? About the...
About what?
Something to do with space.
Oh yeah, the space exit. We're going wildly off topic.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting question. When it comes to the film worlds, would you agree that Marvel has the better cinematic universe?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt or any question whatsoever.
Right, now, when it comes to the cartoon universes, Marvel or DC? Because I don't even like DC, but I will watch DC cartoons.
DC, because the 90s Batman series, the animated one, is an absolute stone cold classic. It's excellent, with Kevin Conroy as Batman, Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Is it only good because you look back on it? Or
no,
is it...
it's great. I watched... I don't really go back and watch episodes, but I watched the movie they did, The Mask of the Phantasm. It's brilliant. And I watch it semi-regularly, like maybe every couple of years or something. It's a really solid... The writing's great. And the Justice League series is kind of less my thing, because I'm less into the characters. But it's the same universe. It's the people running it are Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, I think. Those series were great, and they are much as we both like the X-Men and the Spider-Man series, they are the Batman ones much better.
The Fantastic Four series was actually also quite good, and the Ultimate series that have come out more recently.
I haven't actually seen any of those. Although you know what was good? Did you ever watch X-Men Evolution? It's where they're all in high school, like different continuity. They're all in high school.
Don't think I have actually.
That's really good. That's like well worth.
Did you ever see the film X Generation?
No.
Right, so it's bad. I cannot stress that it is really bad.
Yeah.
Mid-90s. You've got all the classic characters. So actually you've got the one that there's only two characters that I actually remember in it, but and there's Cyclops, and at one point they're saying something about mutants on TV. Oh no, there's another character that I remember, but I can't remember their names. So apart from Cyclops, who lifts up his glasses and shoots blue lasers into the TV and blows it up, there's a guy that can absorb the properties of anything that he touches. Yeah. So some people get into a fight with him, he picks up a rock, absorbs the rock, and then this guy punches him in the face and breaks his hand.
Yeah.
And there's this kid who's like he's got the same powers as Mr. Fantastic. But he's like, oh yeah, so what? They're playing basketball or something. It's like, oh, so what's your superpower? And he's just like, I don't really know. I'm just occasionally I'm just like, and it's like, all right. And this guy goes to grab the ball, and he starts running, and this kid starts screaming. He turns around, and his arm's just like elongated. It's like, what the fuck? And it's. I tell you what, it's visually, it looks like the film Hackers. Did you ever see that with Angelina Jolie?
I know the style you mean. That sort of like very 90s extreme computer thing.
Yeah, they like hack the internet in phone boxes. Stuff like that.
So that is so 90s.
It's so 90s. And then it's got the same sort of storyline as The Breakfast Club.
Right.
So it's similar. Like you could imagine just all of the characters being in The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the film.
That's weird. So, this is one thing that I was thinking was interesting, is, as a way for sort of superhero movies to branch out, and then they've been doing this, with some degree of success, is to take on slightly different genres. So, in the Marvel universe, a lot of the films are slightly different in terms of, what they represent. So, Thor is much more a sort of sci-fi fantasy. Guardians is a space adventure. Captain America: Winter Soldier, which I think is the best Marvel movie.
I think Dark World was the Thor Dark World.
I don't like Dark World.
I thought it was bloody excellent.
You really liked it?
I can't believe I just said bloody excellent.
Bloody good. The controversial one I like. Usually, I think the critics' consensus is pretty good. So, I think Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie. I like Avengers 2.
I didn't really like Winter Soldier.
Well, that's interesting. The one I like that's controversial is Iron Man 3. I think Iron Man.
That's so bad. Jesus fucking Christ! Are you nuts, brother?
I think it's excellent. What's your problem with it?
It's shit. It's fucking bollocks. Iron Man 2 was bad as well.
Wait, what's your problem with Iron Man 3?
Right. So. I can't even remember.
Iron Man 2 was pretty bad, but Iron Man 3...
the
Mandarin. Love it. Loved that twist. Thought it was
Not
excellent.
at all.
Totally turned it on its head.
Such a stupid twist.
Brilliant.
It's
The
the
Mandarin's
same-
just a figurehead, and it's so good.
But that's the thing. From like, if you're actually like a comic book fan, the Mandarin was this like massive character.
A bit racist.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You can't have like a Fu Manchu villain in like a modern film. You're like a moustache twirling like Chinese guy.
You know.
I think it was a great way to do the Mandarin.
Can we pause this for a second?
Yeah, sure. We'll come back and we'll talk about Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World.
Do I just press this?
Okay. So, you like Thor: The Dark World. I like Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Is my face on straight?
Yeah, ish. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm not going to explain that for the benefit of anyone of people not watching the video. No, I think Iron Man 3 is great. I love Shane Black as a director. I think he's always very solid. I like his writing style. I like that we see Tony on the back foot without the suit, and I like that we have to see him kind of rigging stuff up and trying to work it.
They're good points, but the film as a whole isn't good.
I think it is.
Also-
What's bad with it?
All of those suits at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, the climax isn't great, but I don't think many Marvel movies have a particularly great third act. Because in the end, they have to do this kind of like big CGI destruction thing.
It just seems one, like, to be fair, the Hulkbuster armor
That's cool.
that would have just done it. Like, you didn't need.
Yeah, but
all
I
the
like that
suits.
we see it in Age of Ultron. And I think I like actually what Iron Man 3 did with all the suits. I like that it shows Tony having, basically PTSD after the Avengers. And that his way of coping with it is just to build all these different suits. But they're all quite poorly built, which is why they get destroyed so easily.
But
And then at the
that's
end-
so un-Tony Stark.
I think it's very Tony Stark. Because remember in the comics, he's an alcoholic. He does always
he's got
deal with
cancer.
like... Yeah, he does. Yeah. Well, in the Ultimates, he has cancer.
Does he?
Yeah.
No, it's in the Ultimates that he has cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did quickly? What did you think of Marvel vs Zombies?
Oh, so I read the Fantastic Four story, the Ultimate Fantastic Four story, where they first go to the zombie
That was
world.
amazing.
Really liked it.
Really liked it.
I haven't I've picked up and sort of flipped through some of the zombie comics subsequently, but I think they're okay.
I really like them. I think they're
Yeah.
good. We can talk about that another time though. Have a whole thing dedicated.
I guess
to
this is
zombies.
technically our Halloween
Sorry.
special.
Sorry.
In theory, we should do an actual Halloween thing where we talk about like horror movies
Yeah.
rather than just talking about comic books while dressed as Spider-Man.
Well, now they know.
I'm being called out by Spider-Man. Hey man, don't give away my identity. It's fine, he's not really Spider-Man, he's...
You fucking ruined it now, innit?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, you might want to put your family in witness protection.
Unfortunately, they're all dead because I'm Spider-Man. Parents, no.
He's got Aunt May.
Uncle, no. Mary Jane, no. Gwen, dead. She's dead as shit.
Yeah, she's very dead. Does she stay dead in comics?
Yeah, she comes back during one of them, I think, as a clone, in which she has, I think, Hydra Man's powers, or is that Mary Jane?
Mary Jane in the TV series comes back as... He thinks she's come back, but actually it's like a Hydra Man clone.
Yeah.
And then the whole TV series ends with Madam Web going, now let's go find the real Mary Jane. And they never continued it, and it's so annoying, because it got, like, cancelled. When I was a kid, I was convinced that...
spider cancer. Spider carnage.
Yeah, spider cancer. Yeah, because...
the real thing that you would get bit by a radioactive spider.
You just
Spider
die.
cancer.
It's like, there's this Family Guy episode where it's like 3 short episodes. It's from like season 3, and in one of them the Griffins become superheroes and they get superpowers. And
Oh, that's the
at
one where
end,
Meg can grow her fingernails.
yeah, and just like lightly scratch people. And at the end, Mayor West is like, the only way to fight them is to become a superhero myself. And we see him like rolling around in toxic waste, and then it just cuts to him in hospital, and they're like, yeah, you have cancer. What did you think was going to happen? Which I quite like.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Probably should make less cancer jokes though.
Fewer.
I feel.
But that's what's wrong with that sentence. Yeah, no, I like Iron Man 3. I like they did things a bit differently. And I think that's another way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe can work, is if you give the directors a bit more freedom to have their own sort of playground and do
Yeah.
things. To its credit, Thor: The Dark World tried that. Tried to be more of a kind of straight ahead, like, Thor fantasy movie. But I didn't like it. I found
I prefer
found it a
rated.
bit dull, quite boring.
Bit dark.
Yeah, the world was dark. Oh, the villain was shit as well.
The villain wasn't great.
And also, I think...
None of the Thor villains are really that great.
Loki's real good.
He's all right.
I like Loki as a character. I like that he's been in most of them so far, and he's not really
I
a straight
like
villain.
the way that he's played by
By Tom Hiddleston.
Thank you. I was going to say Aaron Eckhart,
No, he's
Two-Face.
Two-Face. I actually, before Captain America came out, I thought Aaron Eckhart would have made a good Captain America as well.
No, he's too old.
I think he is actually, yeah. Well, it was like 2008. I was like, oh, maybe it'll work, but he was too old then.
No,
And Chris Evans is perfect in the role.
Chris Evans is amazing.
He's so good, and like that. I think that's part of the reason I love Winter Soldier so much. Is because Cap's just such a forthright good guy. He's like,
Do you know what in the comics where he kicks Seven Shades of shit out of Hank Pym?
yes,
So good.
that's in Ultimates 2 when he finds out Hank Pym's been beating up Janet.
The Wasp, yeah.
Yeah, and Cap finds him in a bar, gets him to turn into Giant Man, and then still beats the shit out of him. I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like how Movie Cap has kind of... He's got the cool side of Ultimates Cap, but he's not as edgy a character. He's like just a good guy.
But that's the thing. He's such a good guy, and it's like in what is it, Avengers 2,
Yeah.
where he and Tony Stark are chopping wood, and eventually loses his temper and like just pulls
Rips
one
it in half, yeah. I really like that.
I wish that's what you could actually do at peak human efficiency.
Yeah.
Like, that would be something I'd be like, yeah, I might try and level myself up.
It's like in Civil War where he like grabs onto the helicopter and he's like pulling it back. Like I don't know, but I don't think a peak human could do that. I don't think
Maybe
a peak human could
many of them.
bicep curl a helicopter towards them while it's flying away. But that's something I like, and that's a dynamic that I think the movies need. Is they need a character that is just a hero that just wants to do the right thing, and it works for Captain America in a way it wouldn't work for Superman because there's a lot of things Cap can't do.
Well,
It's important that Cap inspires people, whereas Superman fundamentally could just be a benevolent god.
yeah.
Which is why the Dr. Manhattan critique still works. The idea that Dr. Manhattan kind of, once you've seen Dr. Manhattan, the kind of implications of what having that power would do, it's less interesting to look at Superman. Because it's really hard for writers to walk that line. And it's hard for comic book writers as well to walk that line to make Superman interesting but also still a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Because like if we somehow transpose this onto alignments in Dungeons and Dragons,
Right.
Batman's chaotic good,
Yeah.
and Captain America is lawful good,
Yeah. Well, Batman's got like...
and
he's
Wolverine
got a very...
is like neutral, good neutral.
Yeah, Wolverine's either neutral good or true neutral, or chaotic neutral, I think.
He might be chaotic good. No, because he always tries to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think generally.
So I think he might be good neutral because, like, for example, in the X-Men First Class,
That's
when,
a great movie.
it was a good movie. Have you seen that new one? Apparently, it's going to be a horror film.
New
So,
Mutants.
yeah.
I've seen the trailer. I think it looks all right. I probably wouldn't see it in the cinema.
You know what that X-Gen film that I was talking about? I think
Yeah.
it might be called X-Gen New Mutants.
Yeah, maybe that would make sense.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So in that one scene when they're just like, yeah, we're trying to recruit some mutants, and he's just like, fuck off.
Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's done with that shit. No, I really liked First Class. I think it's one of the best X-Men movies. Days of Future Past is pretty good, but I like it less the more I watch it. Also, regarding the sort of alignments point, I think Batman would think he was lawful good because he's got a very strict moral code, but it's his own moral code, and I think in practice he is chaotic.
Yeah.
And that's annoying because Superman should be lawful good. He should be, essentially the Boy
Yeah.
Scout. And the movies haven't done that, and they've tried to make him too edgy. I actually think Man of Steel's okay. I like parts of Man of Steel, and it makes sense because he's young, he's new, and he's still learning his powers and learning what
Yeah.
to do. And it makes sense that I like that he would fuck up and he'd be put in a no-win situation where he like has to kill General Zod or something.
It seems ridiculous
like
that he
that.
wouldn't just kill people anyway.
Yeah, I like that, but
Because it means he's trying to apply human laws and be a good person
well, I think
to a
that's
character that's essentially a god.
But that's why Superman works, is because he's the god, but he's also the boy from Kansas. That's at its best, and I think Man of Steel does this okay. He's both ordinary, like, young American boy, but essentially with, like, these powers and god-level powers. But I do think DC write themselves into a corner by making their superheroes so powerful. Because it's harder to do an engaging story. It's not impossible, but I think it is a lot harder because it's harder to threaten them and it's harder to put them in scenarios that they can't just walk away from.
Yeah. It's like Marvel's answer to Superman is the Sentry.
Yeah.
And that's who's a fucking brilliant character.
He's a bit of an arsehole as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
Because powers-wise, he's Superman, but he's like an arrogant
His powers
prick.
are the powers of 1,000 suns exploding,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. He's cool, and I like that they
And
have
he's
him there in the
severely
comics.
mentally unwell.
That was also a good thing that they did in the first zombie storyline when it shows up in the Ultimate Fantastic Four, because what happened there was the Sentry got infected, and him landing on Earth was enough to ensure that all the other heroes got affected. apart from Magneto, which I like as well.
Who lived on that meteor?
Yeah, well, in
he
the
live on
Fantastic
Meteor?
Four one, he's like with a small band of human
the
survivors
underground,
like
yeah.
underground, which I really like.
I like the
I
fact
like
that,
putting
like-
the characters in like tough situations because
Which he
Magneto's
has to
very
then-
powerful. But
He
I
has
like
to then work with
Yeah.
humans.
I think that's interesting, and that's something again that comic books can do. So just to I think probably to wrap up the comic book segment.
If they made a Marvel Zombies film, would you watch it?
Yeah, I'll go and see it. I think also a Marvel versus DC crossover on film is inevitable at some point,
Like the Amalgam
think it
comics?
will happen.
Or do you mean like a crossover?
like a crossover.
I'd really like to see an amalgam thing.
What's the amalgam?
It's when DC and Marvel take one character from each and then create a new
Oh, create a
character.
new one. That'd be cool. But again, this brings back to the point I made earlier about how films are just so much more expensive to make and
Yeah.
so much a bigger gamble. So the comics and part of the things that DC does really well are, I think they're called. I think Marvel stories are called What If and DC's are called Elseworlds, where it's like an alternate universe, and that's how you get like Injustice Superman, where he's like an evil dictator.
He's like the Russian one, isn't
Yeah, Red
like-
Sun. That's by
like,
Mark Miller as well.
he? You
That's
get
really good.
Wolverine, in which he's had his mind taken over by Hydra, and he goes on a killing
Yes,
spree, kills
Enemy
everyone.
of the State.
Yeah,
Excellent story, and that's
And
again
then-
by Mark Miller.
and it's only Kitty Prydes who
I
shot
think
him.
I really liked one thing in that is
Do you know how?
how no, because that ends. He winds up being taken against the hand. I can't remember what happens, but they break the brainwashing. I think Elektra manages to subdue him at one point, which I really liked because it's like thinking about how would you actually subdue someone like Wolverine. She basically gets the drop on him and paralyzes him by sticking a dagger in one of his nerves, which I like because as long as it's in there, he can't heal it up.
Yeah.
And that's enough to kind of
Well, unless
give
it
him
unless it
pause.
works like a thorn, like your body
Like,
will
pushes it out. I think she's constantly holding it in.
Because like the Kitty Prydes thing is that she knows that he's going to be able to smell where she is.
Yeah.
So she, as she reforms, becomes solid again. It's with her arm in his head,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
she reforms, and he's already like part of the way through the slices her arm off.
But
and
it
then-
stays in there.
Yeah, it's because it's still an arm,
Yeah.
and it stays in his brain, so he can't like do anything because
yeah,
there's a hand in
yeah.
his brain.
I think Kitty Pryde also is a fantastic character that again hasn't been done too well in the movies.
Shadowcat, that's it.
Yeah, and she's a great character because in the comic Days of Future Past, it's her that goes back, and she's a character that makes the most of kind of the little powers that she has, and she's kind of like
We
the
say
optimist
little
on the
powers,
X-team.
like
Yeah, in the sense that she's
also she dated Spider-Man.
yeah, she did. And
Well, Spider-Man knowledge.
I'm trying to think. Spider-Man's dates. Spider-Man gets a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Like he does really well for himself.
Like he is rather popular.
Yeah, but Peter Parker isn't. But I guess also because he's just a good guy. Like he's
Yeah.
nice. He's not going to go out dancing with an emo fringe and hit his girlfriend.
Jesus
Oh
Christ.
no, he did.
Oh, I cannot believe this even got brought up again. That is such a bad scene. I cannot stress. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, they're defaming you, aren't they?
Yeah, like he's a cunt.
Thanks, Spider-Man.
You're welcome.
Everybody gets one. So what I was going to say was about the comic books have this chance to do alternate universes, and I think the DC movies are starting to realise that they've written themselves into a corner with the DCEU. And I heard this idea floated on another podcast, I think it was the Weekly Planet, where they said the one way out for DC and going forwards might be to be, oh, actually, we've been in the alternate universe. We've been in the dark universe where everyone's shit and, like, you know, Batman's a murderer. And just do, like, an alternate reality and be like, oh, no, this is it. This is the real one. We're starting again. And I think that comic books are good because they can do that. And that would give them the option to bring over the Wonder Woman or the Flash.
Mm.
And the other thing that they're doing is they've got a Joker movie in development. They've got a Joker and Harley Quinn movie with Jared Leto, who I hate. He's a shit actor.
I thought he was a good Joker.
Oh, I don't like it. I think it might be a prejudice I have, but I don't like him. I didn't like him in Blade Runner. I don't like him in anything. I like him when he gets the shit beat out of him in Fight Club.
He wasn't bad in 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah, but the band's okay, yeah. But that's not acting, and you don't have to look at him if you don't want to.
Also, wasn't he in a TV series like Neighbours? No, I'm thinking of Drake.
He was in Neighbours.
No, Drake was in the Canadian version of Neighbours.
Seriously?
Yeah,
That's
before
great.
it became-
It's like how every Australian actor has done a stint in Neighbours. Like they've all
Kylie
done
Minogue.
yeah. But yeah, so I think one thing they could do going forwards would be, so they're developing 2 Joker movies. They're developing one with Margot Robbie and Jared Leto, the Suicide Squad Joker, which will be in continuity. But they're developing another one, and I don't think it sounds like a good idea for a movie, but I think it's interesting what they're doing. This news came out a while ago. It's going to be like a sort of gritty, down-to-earth, like 80s crime film-inspired movie about a young Joker as a street criminal. And it's in a different continuity. And I like that they're doing that, because I think people get...
Sounds like the sort of thing that Heath Ledger would roll around in his grave.
Yeah.
If he wasn't so drugged
not
up
happy.
anyway.
Oh, that's quite sad. That's just a sad story all around.
Yeah.
So I think DC is the one that would need to do this like alternate universe thing. But I think going forward, Marvel will have problems as well, because they're getting that. It's like what happened with the Ultimate Universe. You get trapped by your own continuity, and eventually, I think it might get too big. But do you think they're going to make it to 2028, or do you think this bubble's going to burst?
Well, I didn't know that that's where this question was going. So I wish I'd been paying more attention.
No, I'm just saying, how do you think these movies are going to go in future? Do you think the comic book movie
After
thing's gonna
Thanos,
run
I don't know
dry?
what's going to happen.
So yeah, they're bringing
Right.
Thanos in, and I've invested enough at this point that I'm going to go and see Avengers 3 and 4 no matter what.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because inevitably I'm going to have to see them.
So I personally really liked Ultron. Like, also,
I really liked Ultron.
The music for the Ultron section. I actually listened to it.
Yeah, I think it's
I
good.
got no strings to hold me down.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, amazing.
Age of Ultron's a severely underrated film.
Yeah, it is really
I
good.
really like it.
And Ultron, super funny.
Yeah, I think
Right.
he's a really good villain as well, because he's genuinely scary, but him also being funny is like, of course he'd be like that. He's created by Tony Stark in this
Do
universe.
you know who
like,
he reminds me of?
who?
Hades from the Disney film.
Yes, James Woods as Hades in that animated movie. That was great.
Yeah, it was so much like
Kind
Hades.
of like capricious and petty,
Yeah.
and not as funny as he thinks he is, but also very dangerous.
But I find that because he's not as funny as he thinks he is, it makes him much funnier.
Yeah,
like
obviously.
as an audience.
As an audience member, yeah. No, I really like it, but I think I could see the bubble bursting, because I think audiences are increasingly getting a little bit like, okay, we know what's going to happen, and it is harder to enjoy a Marvel movie in the same way. Like, Guardians 2 is from the cinema, good movie, perfectly fine, not like markedly worse than the first, but the first one just felt fresher, and obviously it's going to feel fresher because it's the first one. But I think that it's already, the cinematic universe has been going for almost a decade now. They're going to have to, actors like Robert Downey Jr. are going to move on or get too old. They're going to have to retire those characters. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain it in the same continuity.
They're gonna have to start up something like no longer like after Avengers 4 or whatever. It will be like
Like a
right, now
reboot.
this is the Ultimates.
Yeah, because I think I'm trying to think what movies they've got planned. They're bringing out a Miss Marvel movie, which could be quite
Is that
interesting.
going to involve Rogue?
See, I don't know.
If it involves
'Cause
Rogue, I'd be like.
I
a
have
bit
this
more hyped
theory
about it.
that they're in negotiations for the Fantastic Four rights. Because as we said earlier, Fant Four Stick is real shit, and
Fan bad times.
and
Four.
Fan bad times 4, and like showing the Watchers in Guardians 2. See, because they're very
What's
much
his
a Fantastic
name?
Four character. Uatu.
No, it's not. It's
Uatu
not
the Watcher.
Yeah, it's not very much a Fantastic Four character.
I think
The Watcher's
that
only-
stuff is associated with Fantastic Four more than anything else.
Not at all, man. It's just a standard character in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, but
Whenever.
the Fantastic Four were always the ones that were going into space and meeting.
Yeah, but you don't need to go into
people like
space. Like the Watchers will come down for anything. They show up in Marvel Zombies. Loads of stuff that happens with anything that involves Apocalypse.
that. Yeah,
Anything that involves Lilandra from the Shi'ar Empire.
yeah. So,
Or
but
what do they call the Krill? The Krull.
the Kree and the Skrulls. There is,
Girls, close.
they've done the Kree in the movies, and I think they are. I can't remember where I heard it, but apparently they're going to do the Skrulls. They're going to do a Secret Invasion Skrull storyline.
That'd be cool.
That might be Avengers
Ooh,
4.
Secret Wars would be good as well. Actually,
Yeah,
let's
there's a
just
theory
go
that
back
they're
to
gonna
like
do
where we
Secret
think
Wars.
it's going to go.
Do you, okay, so I think
what
I
would
have
be a
heard,
good Marvel? Because the Inhumans comes out soon, didn't it?
Yeah, apparently it's wank though.
Oh, really?
Apparently it's really shit. Like
Oh,
I've heard nothing but
Black
negative
Bot is one of my
reviews.
favourite characters.
Blackagar Boltagon. That's his.
What
full-
I know,
That's
but
his
like,
full
what
name.
a name!
Yeah, no,
Also, his power. Oh man,
yeah, his power's great.
to level a city by a whisper.
But I think that's another thing is I think as Marvel goes on, the more properties they produce, they're gonna have some misses. So Inhumans seems like a miss. Are they gonna
Avengers
take it out of
versus
continuity?
Avengers versus everyone else, basically.
Actually, the one thing I wouldn't like to see the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think the X-Men only work if they're the only ones with superpowers, because then it's very clear why humans hate them. Whereas if the X-Men show up now, everyone will be like, oh no, there's someone who can shoot lasers out of their eyes. We had a guy that was a big green monster the other day, just wrecking shit up. We've seen everything.
Well, it's-
Like we've seen it all. We don't care.
I think-
We're not going to persecute.
I think the reason
you.
it doesn't work is because they're literally segregated.
Yeah.
So
it
like
doesn't make
you've,
sense.
you've got the superheroes that like are actually superheroes.
Yeah.
You know, they do super things.
Yeah.
Whereas like these people are just because more and more people with superpowers are cropping up
Yeah.
that can't control their powers or might have for example look at, I can't remember his name, but he's a chap that has like some sort of like alien thing in his stomach that produces eggs that can mind control people.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and it's only the superheroes that you see are your archetypal versions of superheroes. They're the ones with like essentially the pretty powers,
Friendly powers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I,
it's super strength.
I think the
sticks to
mutant stuff
walls,
has to be
lasers.
its own universe because I don't think it makes sense that you'd have a society so set against any expression of like inhumanity. I think the humans versus mutants background only works if there aren't also the Avengers running around. If you haven't also got the Fantastic Four, I think the Fantastic Four would go brilliantly in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
Well,
I'd
really
love
nice
to
with
see
Spider-Man,
Huh?
Bagman,
Huh?
Bagman.
Bagman.
Yeah, when Peter Parker loses his mask and goes to the
Oh,
Fantastic
yeah.
Four and ends up wearing it.
Yes, that was like classic comic book. It's from like the 60s. And he just wears a bag over his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they brought Spider-Man in, and I think that went well. And
That,
I would happily,
I thought that was brilliant.
I would happily see them bring in the Fantastic Four. So that's what I hope they would do. Is I hope they can work something out. Because who owns Fantastic Four? I think
Fox.
Fox, yeah. But they've fucked it up so much. And the problem also, this is why, partly why the Amazing Spider-Man movies got made, is because they lose the rights if they don't make a movie every few years.
Oh really?
Yeah, apparently. Gassy. So that
Anyway.
Lucasade coming back up to play. Okay, so should we
So good it has a round two.
wrap up the comic book stuff then?
Yeah. So just quickly, what do you think will be the next? Name three. We're not gonna talk about it too much, but you name three and I'll name three franchises that you reckon the MCU will go into after. I'll tell you. I'll name my three first.
Yeah.
I reckon there'll be an Agent Venom.
Yeah. 'Cause
I-
Sony are developing a Venom movie.
I reckon. No, I mean like specific.
Agent Venom. I think they will. I think if,
Agent
if
Venom?
the Venom movie goes well, I think they will.
I think there'll be a. I reckon there might be a symbiote saga.
Mm-hmm.
Symbiote
That'd
saga.
work.
So like obviously Venom, Carnage, Toxin, symbiote wars.
Carnage is a great villain. as
Carnage
well.
is the best villain. Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magnificent.
I think it would be hard but not impossible to do that in the MCU.
It would have to be super violent.
You'd have to
though.
balance the tone.
It'd be
Yeah, so
so
the Venom
violent.
movie apparently is going to be like R-rated, I think, which will work for that
that'd be
movie, yeah.
And
There's
I,
no reason it
I
can't be
think
the same
they'll
universe.
also do something trying to be a lot more jokey. So like like the Howard the Duck movie.
Yeah.
I think it'll be something like Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl's a great character.
Terrible character.
Love her.
Hate
I
her.
like that it's canon that she just repeatedly like bests like Doctor Doom or something.
Yeah, I like that too.
Okay, so ideally, I'd love to see them get the rights to the Fantastic Four because Doom is such a great Marvel villain that again has never been done well on screen.
It's
He's
a political
such a-
film about Doom in not Latvia, is it?
Latveria,
Latveria.
it's his made-up country. that he
Yeah,
owns.
I think I would actually quite happily watch like like the Crown TV series, like
Yeah, but, like,
serious.
but with Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that'd
like,
be
because
awesome.
he has robots and stuff like.
Yeah, and I think he could make a great overarching threat for movies going forward. So I'd
Because
like
also
to see a
people love
Fantastic
him,
Four
don't they?
crossover.
Because people love him.
He's quite good at propaganda. Plus, also in the comics, he's got the science stuff, but he also teaches himself magic,
Yeah.
which would work now that there's magic in the cinematic universe with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I think the door's open, and if they can get the rights, I'd love it. Two others. Don't want to see the X-Men in there. I'd like to see. I'm trying to think what else could go. More space stuff, which I think they are moving towards. I want to see more sort of
Like a
weird
free scroll
worlds.
wall.
And I want to see that interacting with Earth because so far the space stuff hasn't really touched on Earth too much.
Would you
They've
want to see a
they're
Captain
aware of
Great Britain?
Asgardians. A what?
Would you want to see a Captain Great Britain?
Yeah, that was okay. That'll be my last one. Captain Britain, and I want to see. I want to see more of the world that it exists in. So in the Ultimates, one thing I really liked was how they link Shield directly to the U.S. government in the Ultimates, which it's not in the movies.
Yeah.
But now Shield's technically disbanded, or like it's still going in the TV series.
I'd watch a thing with the Zorn in it.
Yeah.
Guy with
I
the,
think-
the face
okay.
of the sun.
So on a off-Earth adventures, more space stuff, yeah, Fantastic Four. And the third one would be, I want to see some political ramifications. I want to see, like in the Ultimates, when the European countries band together and try and recreate the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
I want to see, and it touches on that in like Iron Man 2 a bit,
Did
where
you
they're
ever see
like, this
the
technology
Chinese
is too
the
powerful.
Chinese superhero, the radioactive guy?
No. But I want to see more. Yeah, I want to see more on Earth stuff. I want to see more conflict and how the world powers are trying to respond to the existence of.
So I mean, this
individuals that
essentially
are super
like
powerful.
everyone has to do what America says now, for all intents and purposes. They might have superpowered villains, but
Yeah,
they have the Avengers.
well, kind of they do. I think the Winter Soldier was really good for this because it shows Cap like actively going against something that he thinks is wrong, and he follows that arc through in Civil War. But yeah, I want to see more non-American characters. I want to see how.
Like Psylocke, Captain
Yeah.
Grey Britain's sister.
Yeah, I definitely like to see a Captain Britain. Okay, cool.
I'm going to change mine. I'd want to see an Age of Venom. I'd want to see Avengers versus X-Men. And I think... What was the last one I said?
You said Symbiote Saga.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that would work as well. Like, I'd really... Like, if it was done properly, I think it'd be amazing. But
Yeah.
I think I would really like to see something like outside of America.
Mm.
So I know, obviously, the Avengers...
Like,
2's
we're
touched
kind
on
of
that,
going there with the Black Panther movie that's coming out. That looks pretty good.
But that's the thing is, the Black Panther, for all intents and purposes, he might be Wakandan, but he's still a staple part of the... Actually, do you know what? Not Marvel, but I'd really like to see The Boys. Garth Ennis, The Boys.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be amazing.
More like.
Well, look, I'll tell you, how
more
they
comic
live-
book properties from not the main two companies, maybe like a Red Sun movie would be great.
Or maybe like how the mutants live on Genosha. So like
Yeah.
when the X-Men have they go against the Sentries.
Yeah, the Sentinels. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
Mm,
The
that'd be great.
Sentinels, and they get like the boss Sentinel and stuff
think
like that. I think that'd be really
Joss
interesting.
Whedon wrote a story. He did a run on New X-Men in like the early mid-noughties, I think, that was pretty good. And he wrote a story involving the Sentinels and Genosha that was good. And obviously he wouldn't be keen to direct for Marvel again.
Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see like how like Vulcan, obviously Scott Summers' brother. There's the other brother that I can't remember. Havoc. Yeah, so Havoc, Vulcan, Cyclops. So because Havoc is he's in charge of like half the universe, isn't he?
I can't remember.
Yeah, he fucking goes crazy.
I think frankly they should reset the X-Men universe now. Like
He's no mega
Hugh
level
Jackman's
mutant.
done as Wolverine, just completely reset it because
Use new characters.
The young cast in Apocalypse wasn't great. Like redo it from the ground up, I think, because they're trying to tie it in with First Class, but it's like 20 years later,
Yeah.
and everyone kind of looks the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan. All right, that'll
Okay.
do it then.
So that's not pretty good.
Cool.
Oh, should we do those questions?
Yeah. Okay. See if we got any.
I'm gonna.
And then we'll do our usual wrap up.
Yeah. Well, just yeah.
Yo, rapping.
Oh, please don't, mate. No, I'm stuck. God, how does Spider-Man do this? Dude, help.
I imagine he doesn't just wear a morph suit.
Shut up. You have to undo the zipper.
Oh. Is that good?
How am I still...
Just pull it.
I don't want to rip it. Is it undone at the top?
You know, doesn't worry about ripping his costume. Spider-Man.
Shut up.
No, he does worry
Oh,
about it.
fucking hell.
He has to sew it up.
That was intensely hot.
I haven't got any questions. I've got nothing.
Okay, I'll check mine. I think if we don't have any questions, we should just make up some questions.
Just cut the bit where you said we'll answer questions.
Yeah, just cut it out.
Hey, can you pass me my glasses?
What? Glow stick.
Yeah, mate. That's what I said.
Oh, glasses. Pass me my glow stick, and yeah. I need it to answer questions with.
If there's any chance that we can cut me getting stuck in my thing out,
Keep it in.
please don't.
Keep it in.
Okay, so I'll check Facebook. I'll check Twitter.
Oh, I haven't checked the Twitter.
Okay, we got a couple on Facebook by the looks of things.
I bet they're inane bullshit again.
Yeah. I bet you
What
are.
camera is that? Fuck up. I'm sorry.
Oh, actually, no.
By the way, guy who asked what
dude,
camera
we got loads
it is,
of questions.
Jay Corley, if you're watching this, I don't really hate you. I did have a dream with you were in. It was weird. You actually, I don't think he's going to hear this, but I had a couple of dreams last night. One was where Alex Fellis' housemate Holly kept trying to wake me up in different weird situations. So I would like be like just by a campfire, and she'd be like, "You've got to get up," and then the dream would end, and I'd go on to another one. And another dream I had was where Jacob Hawley, who's really cool, works in like does bloody like filming and videos and stuff in Canada, and he's the one that asked about the camera. And in my dream, he was filming a pornography with him in it. So maybe don't tell him where the camera is. What model of camera? Anyway.
The fact that you made up for the fact that you were really mean to him earlier, but like, he's a really great bloke. Yeah, he's a fantastic bloke.
We actually have a bunch of questions.
You have
Oh, yeah.
questions.
What are they?
Oh shit! Did I just delete one?
Don't just like my fucking
So
post.
Okay.
before you start, go. Now it's time for the question segment or something else.
Welcome to question time.
Question.
I'm David Dumbledore,
Dimmadome.
and this is question time.
Oh, what is it? Doug Dimmadome.
Who's that?
It's from where's that from? Can't remember.
Okay, are these questions on Twitter or Facebook?
Facebook. I'll check Twitter in a minute.
What have you got?
Are people of the comic book persuasion too afraid to expand out of their box comfort zone? Do you feel that is the reason why people stagnate? I actually think, like, considering that was just taking the piss out of a previous question, I think that's actually quite a good question. Like,
Does he mean fans or creators?
let's go with creators.
I don't think so. I think if you look at a lot of comics writers, they've also done other stuff. Not necessarily always successfully, but they've also written for. So, you know, Joss Whedon's done runs on comics and written for other stuff. Neil Gaiman has written novels. You know, Mark Miller, essentially a lot of his own properties, he writes them aiming to make them into films, and then is heavily involved in the films.
I think.
I think the more outside your box you get, the more different stuff you try, the better.
Well, I don't know. Like, because like inside the MCU, for example.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's... Because it used to be that Stan Lee would just be like, look, just make him fight a blue guy. And the writer would have to, like, create the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that that's sort of changed? Because obviously where things reflect the Marvel... The Marvel...
Brand.
Yeah, the Marvel... Like, because it is owned by Disney at the end of the day.
So there have been problems. Edgar Wright was due to direct Ant-Man and worked on developing it, and he left because the studio had a kind of stricter vision than what he wanted. He wanted a bit more freedom. And Joss Whedon has spoken quite negatively about his time on Age of Ultron because, again, he had ideas that kind of didn't fit with what the studio was doing. I think it's unavoidable in a movie franchise, partly because there's so much money on the line.
Yeah.
But I like also that they are hiring, to their credit, they're hiring good directors and giving them a try. So the new Thor movie, directed by Taika Waititi, I probably pronounced that wrong, is coming out, and that's getting good reviews as kind of a bit different, a bit funny. I think the more cookie cutter movies, like Ant-Man I enjoy, but it came out very straight down the line formula, as did Doctor Strange, which I also enjoy. So I think there's a risk. It's more a branding thing than I think it is to do with creators.
Okay. What was I about to say? I'll just go to the next question. What is the current status of Kathy Kane, aka the original Batwoman, and how is the current Batwoman Kate Kane related to her? God, that's a question where we might actually have to know an answer to.
We might have to
Google that.
look it up, yeah. Which is...
Just tell her to Google it.
Was it Kathy Kane or... Was Cassandra Kane a thing? There have been so many bloody Batwomen and Batgirls. Fucking hell, I don't even know. I thought it was Cassandra Kane, but I'm not sure where they've gone with the new storylines, because hasn't DC essentially done a
Google.
continuity reboot? They've done the new 52, right? So it's new characters.
Yeah. Oh, that didn't actually work for some reason. What is the current status of Kathy Kane, and how is she related to Kate Kane in the DC universe? Fuck's sake. Sorry, we're out on that one. We don't know.
Not sure.
Next question.
Not sure, and also don't really care that much.
Dude, no, don't say stuff like that.
I don't know. I've never read a Batwoman comic. I've read ones where she appears.
Oh, come on, look. Someone took the time to ask us a question.
Yeah, I know. And it's a good question
That we don't
which I don't care about. Like, it's a fine question.
You're a dick.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. What was the biggest mistake that comic books made in killing characters off? That's a
Oh,
good
that's
question.
a great question. Okay,
That's a good question.
Someone they killed that they really shouldn't have, that they really should have used later on.
They killed Goliath during the Civil War saga. He was the only one that popularised.
Yeah, he was because
he's like a sort of
didn't Robot Thor kill him?
Yeah. No, it wasn't
Civil War's
It wasn't
bizarre.
Robot Thor. It was the one that looks like Beta Ray.
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill.
Okay. He's not really an important character. I think this is the problem with comics. It's hard to think of someone that they've killed off that they haven't already brought
Do you know
back.
Here's the thing. What was the biggest mistake that comic books made in killing characters off? They didn't kill off anyone important. They didn't actually
Yeah.
When they kill off a character, they don't actually kill one off that's actually.
Death should matter more.
Exactly.
And we should see the effects of it. So I think it would be really ballsy if at the end of Avengers 3 or Avengers 4, Iron Man or Captain America or one of the classics dies and we see the effects.
I was about to say Iron America. That's not what I mean. Captain Man. No,
Captain Man, all the powers of a regular man.
no, there's
Occasionally he's late to things. He has a car.
makes dad jokes. No, so because there is the death of Captain America. There's that story arc, isn't there?
Yeah, and Sam Wilson becomes Captain America, which I think
And then
I
there's
would like
also
to see
the
that
Iron
in the
Patriot
movies.
for a little bit, isn't there?
Yeah, I think didn't Norman Osborn start wearing the Iron Man armor?
Yeah, and then he takes over Shield and it becomes Hammer.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to
It's
see.
very Russian at that point, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see Death Matter more. I'd like to see them kill off a character and actually go into the implications of it and stick with it, rather than doing that and then immediately walking it back.
So yeah, to answer that question, they didn't kill anyone important. Death
Yeah,
doesn't mean
that's
anything.
their mistake.
Yeah.
Is
That they
and I think that's increasingly becoming evident in the movies. It's starting to show that we need an important death.
Okay, here's an interesting question because it uses the word complicated, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be difficult. But it's not actually that difficult. Sean Prince asks again. He was the person that asked about Kathy Kane.
Sorry, Sean. Not that into Batman. I'm sorry.
Don't know. Anyway, but Sean Prince. Oh, I probably should have told. The first one was by Umar Haque, who's you can find his artistic persona being Dre Zera. Next one was by Sean Prince. The particularly good question that we liked, the killing question, the killer question.
Ha!
That was by Paul David Wimsett.
Mm-hmm.
Also an author actually. Writes books about comedy.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is another Sean Prince question we're coming to. Okay.
Can you explain the complicated history of the Phoenix Force from Marvel? Short answer.
No.
Short
answer. No, we can't.
Oh, I can actually explain that.
Yeah, I kind of know it, but I've had my continuities modelled, so I think you should do it because
Okay,
you're better on Stray Ahead 616.
Yes. That's the answer to your question. I can do that.
Will you? Would you now?
Nobody asked, mate.
I asked.
Fine. So the Phoenix Force is one of the fundamental forces in the universe, and it's the part where it's death and rebirth, essentially, like the Phoenix. So the complicated history being that the Phoenix is born out of emotion, I believe. So it's an emotive response to things.
Yeah.
So when Jean Grey, who is like almost like an Omega level empath, the Phoenix latches onto her, and that's all well and good. Crazy shit happens for a little while. She tries to destroy the world. Not really sure why. Never really explained that well, is it?
No.
Like, why are you trying to?
So it's in The Last Stand they do it really badly, where there's no external Phoenix Force and it's just Jean Grey unbound, but that's wank.
In the game, actually, in the game, you can like
which game?
Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Okay.
You can, if you save up your entire battle bar, your energy bar, till it's like level 5, you can become the Phoenix Force.
That's cool.
Your health goes down, but your damage goes up by like 15.
I like in the comics. So the Ultimates did the Phoenix storyline pretty well, where it's kind of unclear. But I think Professor X maintains that it's just a myth, and they're just putting it on Jean because she's a powerful telepath. But there are hints that it actually is this extraterrestrial force, and she can occasionally tap into it, but it's kind of very dangerous. It's literally playing with fire.
Yeah. In the Avengers versus the X-Men versus whatever it's called, it's Avengers versus X-Men. Jean Grey and Scott Summers' daughter, I think her name is it Hope Summers?
Hope Summers, yeah.
She somehow gets the Phoenix Force. I can't remember specifically how. And then it gets shared out, a fifth of it each to each one of the, so to Namor, Storm, Cyclops. I think I mentioned them earlier.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, and it doesn't turn you evil, but it makes your emotive responses.
Makes you more rash, more like impassioned decisions.
Yeah, you become very passionate in what it is that you do. So they start obviously doing stupid shit, and then I can't remember what happens after that. So that's the complicated history of the Phoenix Force from Marvel.
We're probably missing out loads because there's the role of the Hellfire Club as well, which is like a cult that worships it. But that's it. Okay. Go out and read the comics.
It's fucking buy a book, read a book. Anyway, so and this question is from Lucas Howard. And it says, "Why did
Aid Howard?"
This is from Lucas Aid Howard, also a poet actually, very very good poet. Like I'm a massive fan. So
Good.
I'm really glad that he commented.
Does he have like a artist page or something we could plug?
Yeah, Lucas Howard, performance poet.
Got it.
Lives in Hastings. Runs a slam down there. It's a really cool guy. Anyway, why did Spider-Man 2099 fizzle out with no conclusion? Because it was shit.
I think that was a case of which we saw happen on a longer scale with the Ultimates, which is where they start over with kind of a fresh thing. So 2099 was meant to be this fresh new world, and they wrote themselves into a corner, and I guess everyone just got bored with it. I imagine sales figures dropped off pretty quick for 2099 as well.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Twitter and see if anything's happened. My guess is going to be no, but then we can live tweet J. Michael Straczynski.
Yeah, our weekly tweet to J. Michael Straczynski.
Maybe we should tweet Neil Gaiman as well. Do you want to tweet him?
I no. Let's keep it to J. Michael Straczynski first. Especially as you're dressed as Spider-Man.
Okay. Nothing happened on Twitter. The only person that liked my comments was you.
Yeah, no, I don't have a great Twitter reach. We don't have the best marketing, really.
We don't have I've got a good Facebook reach. My Patreon's picking up. Twitter suck. If we could somehow put this on Instagram, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
God, it's hard typing with a fucking full bodysuit on. J. Michael Straczynski, sweet. Please respond to my messages.
Do you not want to say? Do you not say something that makes you sound less insane this week?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What should I go with?
Love you, Spider-Man.
I am in a Spider-Man.
I'm in a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I'm in a Spider-Man morph suit. What are you wearing?
I'm gonna get that restraining order, aren't I?
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's the ultimate goal.
And we can display it behind
That's
us.
the whole purpose of this podcast, is to get a restraining order.
Hi, my name's Alex, and what I like to do is decimate my career.
Reduce it down to 1/10 of its original size. Or is it reduce it by 1/10? I can't remember.
Reduce it by 10.
No, it's 2 attempt.
No, it's
So if you decimate,
No,
another-
it's
you take off 10%.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
the way they used to do it was they'd split soldiers into groups of 10 and they have to kill one.
Yeah,
they do
was
it in
a
World War
punishment
Z in the
Roman,
book. Yeah.
yeah.
And the Russian military does it in World War Z. That's a great book. Fucking love
the
that
book.
book.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you watch the film? Because it's fucking trash.
I mean, the film's just there.
It's just an action movie.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
just
a shitty
there.
Action.
But the book's great.
The book is amazing.
We're not done filming. Like, you're fucking a lot chirpier all of a sudden, aren't you?
Hey, let him be, man.
You're just twittering.
Stop
You're just literally
stop-
staring at your phone.
stop
You think
bloody-
that's good content.
Stop insulting people on the air.
We're engaging in interesting conversation.
So it's me. To be fair, the only person I insulted was Batwoman, which I'm fine with. Sorry,
Sexist.
Batwoman. You're no good.
Okay, so hang on. Where did it go? Where's my own fucking tweet?
Just go on your own page.
I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at this.
I think would that do it?
No,
No,
you
that's
just
Messenger.
opened up all the messages I was ignoring.
There.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Profile.
Right. So I just tweeted J. Michael Straczynski saying, I am in a Spider-Man morph suit. What are you wearing? Hashtag Saturday morning. Hashtag Spider-Man. I saw that there was a Saturday morning thing like trending, so I was like, oh no.
Yeah, no, do it.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Is that it? We're done for the week?
Yeah, we've just got to do those other little bits that we can do separately.
Sick. Okay, should
Wrap
we
up.
say our wrap up now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
I'm Alex Ryan again. I was at the start of the podcast about an hour and a half ago, and I still am.
Do you not want to like...
He's Alex Bellas. We have the same name.
Do you not want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, no.
Should we try that wrap up
I
one
don't
more
have
time?
much stuff.
But,
Yeah,
plug your
Twitter, Alex T. Ryan
Hold
27.
up. Because we're
Become
obviously
my
gonna,
friend on Facebook.
we're going to obviously cut this last little bit
No,
here.
we're not.
No, dude, we've got to make it so that our handles actually get heard so that people start following us.
Yeah, no, and we will. I think keep this in because it's funny. Okay, me on Twitter is Alex T. Ryan 27.
I hate you so
And
much.
send me a tweet and listen to the podcast. It's up on SoundCloud, and we also have a YouTube.
How do you get
and
the
our
SoundCloud and
Gmail
YouTube?
is alexandalexpodcast@gmail.com. And our SoundCloud, it's really hard to find still if you just Google it. But if you go on our Twitter, which you should, and follow us, we always post up all the new content comes out on Twitter and it comes out on Facebook. A lot of stuff gets put on the Patreon either exclusively or early ahead of time. Before this goes out, we should have brought out a little 20-minute segment from last week on a different topic, and also we might do another YouTube video or not.
And
He's
I'm
Alex
I'm Alex Vellis. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. What's the other one that I use? Facebook. All with the same handle of at Alex Vellis Poet. And once again, my Snapchat. If anyone wants to get me on Snapchat,
Has anyone done that?
No.
You need to become like those porn accounts that have like premium subscribers to your Snapchat.
I know people with those.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
We'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah. That's Alex Vellis. I think it's actually. Do you know what? I think it comes up as your friendly neighbourhood poet.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, Rowan French is the filming cameraman guy.
What's your thing on Facebook called?
AF Film.
AO Film.
AF Film.
AF Film.
Film as fuck. There you go.
As fuck films.
As fuck.
As if you don't make porn.
Yeah.
Cool.
Response to that.
All right.
Maybe I do. You ain't never seen my phone, my show,
Did we
All
get
right.
my film.
Yep.
All right.